Hey guys, brand new podcast, and it's a fucking banger. I am leaving today for Colorado. Thank you everyone who bought tickets. Thank you everyone who sent me nice messages on Instagram and to my old phone number about my insecurities about saying that the show sold out. I'm not insecure about that anymore. I'm very proud to say it's sold out. And thank you very much for those messages. They were well received and they meant a lot to me. Red Rocks is sold out. I can't fucking wait. Next show after that's Vegas, mid-month. And then we start the tour hardcore. Augusta, Georgia, Montgomery, Alabama, Atlanta. We've added shows in Atlanta. I got to remember, I forgot, I got to be on tour mind where I can tell you all my dates coming up. Forgot about tour mode. It's been a while, people. I can't wait to get back on the road. So find me on tour. New Two Bears, One Caves out. That's it, really. Oh, and we're bringing back Open Tabs. There should be a new Open Tabs out this week, correct, Halston?
Yep.
So Open Tabs, if you don't know, is a show I used to do where I just kept all the tabs of all the stuff I watched throughout the weekend, and I kept them open, and I just shared with you what I learned and what I watched, introduced you to some cool YouTube channels, introduced you to some cool Instagram things that you may not already know of, and hopefully laugh my fucking dick off once. If I can get one hard laugh out of all of these videos that I put sharing in Open Tabs in that hour, then it's worth it. And if I can get you to laugh 4 times, then I've fucking made the master sauce. Let's see, what time is it? I have physical therapy in 30 minutes. So let's get on with it. Today's episode is awesome. I'm a huge fan of this guy's. I'm a huge fan of the way this guy's brain works. Today's guest is Van Neistat, the brother to Casey Neistat, but a completely fascinating and interesting man, completely separated from his brother. I don't think we talked about his brother once in this podcast.
Maybe a little bit.
But he is amazing. He has got a YouTube page called The Spirited Man. And it is, I mean, just to watch this guy's brain work is so fascinating. He is such an interesting dude. And if nothing, I hope you listen to this podcast and end up on his YouTube page, because his YouTube page is, I mean, he makes amazing videos, very different than his brother, very different than anyone is making YouTube videos these days at all. He is taking, so many people do the same thing where they vlog their life, myself included, by the way, that their YouTube page is their podcast and their vlog. And my vlog was very much like anyone else's. It was an ego-based vlog, wanting to show the coolest parts of my life, thinking that you would think I was more cool and then you'd want to come to my shows. Van has no interest in you thinking he's cool. I don't think so at all. He just shows you what he does and what he likes and the way he works and the way he solves problems. The way he solves problems is so fucking genius. I've changed the way I operate because of Van. I do certain things where I go, this whole thing is rigged a certain way because of Van. I can't say enough great things about him, but more importantly, I'm going to have him back on the podcast because we didn't get to cover everything. I think we only had how long was it? 2 hours?
I think an hour and a half or something.
We had an hour and a half, and I think I had to leave for something. But I'm going to have him back on the podcast because he is absolutely just one of the most artistically brilliant men I've ever had the joy of meeting. I mean, he is an independent soul. He is a distinct voice. He is when you watch, this is how I want to say it. When you see a guy like Chappelle or Burr or Segura or Joey Diaz or John Mulaney, when you see them on stage and there's no one like them, and that's why you like them, or maybe Bert, and you like them, and that's what you like about them. That's what I like about Van Neistat, is there's no one like him in the world. We talk about his first teacher, right? The guy that kind of taught him how to operate and build. We talk about his favorite brands, because he's a guy who falls in love with things, and then that is his thing. Like, he has one pencil that he uses. His YouTube channel is Van, VanNeistat, but it's titled The Spirited Man. and you will absolutely love it. You will absolutely love him. I hope you enjoy the podcast. And like I said, I will have him back.
It is 2 hours. I just checked.
It's a 2-hour podcast. Yeah. It's a 2-hour
Still
podcast.
Good.
So I hope you enjoy it. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, my friend, Van Neistat. Liquid Death is water we got sent on the tour bus, right? Mm-hmm. And it's sparkling water. I'm a big Tito's and soda drinker. And the way you just drank it is the reason I like Liquid Death.
Yeah.
Is I can fucking murder it because of the delivery system. You're a delivery system type guy. The way your brain works, I can see. I have so much I want to talk to you. First of all, huge fucking fan. I've been a fan of your brothers for a ridiculous amount. I did a podcast with them and literally fawned over how much he changed my business. The part of the things that one of my most fascinating parts of your brother is just about all of your personality. And that is your guys' attention to detail, attention to organization, attention to making things your own, putting your own thumbprint on every aspect of your life. And it is, when you came out with your podcast, I of course, as a fan of Casey's, I go, I'm gonna check it out. And then all of a sudden I fucking fell in love with the way your brain works. It really is fascinating. Pull up his YouTube channel so I have reference for everything. I have a bunch of questions, but there's a lot I just want to talk about. And you're open and honesty. You're like, the last video, I just watched a video, cocaine is a horrible drug. I have so many questions about that because at no point, the whole fucking video, I'm going, is he on cocaine in this video? Is he on cocaine? But I love the fact that you're posting videos from this Baja trip you shot probably 18 years ago.
No, 12 years ago.
12 years ago.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm going, yeah, man, this is great. I love seeing, I almost want to see on the fly interviews with the guys that are, and what are they doing now? Because the one guy with the beautiful hair that it tells you that he's like, I wouldn't go to Baja. The guy said, if you have kids, I wouldn't go unless you have a kid to carry on your name. And you're like, well, I go, what's that beautiful haired man doing these days? But delivery systems, your brain sees the world as that's not working. That wasn't fine tuned. I'm going to make it better to work for me. When did you notice that start happening in your life?
Okay, I think it's probably I've always had it.
Yeah.
The problem, I don't know if Casey got in. I listened to your podcast with Casey. It was terrific.
Well,
and
tell me what
I learned stuff about, like he filled me on stuff about like him and Candace that I didn't know about.
Yeah.
And I think it began because we grew up in a house where, we had good parents and, but we're Gen Xers. So everything was broken and we were on our own. And the tools to fix the broken things were also broken.
Yes.
So I think success, you chase success for a reason. You don't get where you are without some kind of compulsion that you can draw strength from.
Yes.
And I don't know what it is that keeps us going for so long. I know what it is that makes people burn out at 27, but I don't know what it is that were people in their late 40s, 50s, Seinfeld in his 60s, keeping it going. And I think to me, success became a very strange, like an ability to move throughout space without knocking things over. And I don't mean that metaphorically.
No.
I'm like a clumsy person.
No, yeah.
And then everything working properly. But because I haven't had the resources to pay for things to be working properly, I just, out of necessity, and I do have a natural gift to fix things.
You have
and make things right. And it comes from my grandfather.
Is it your grandfather?
Yeah, on my mother's side.
See, your lineage, all I can think of are the people you wanted to be on the Mayflower with. Like my wife's family has it too. My wife's dad is just a handy motherfucker. He broke his thumb really bad, and then he just fixed a splint to fix his own thumb so that he could use it, because he was like, I'm too old to go get it fucking fixed. I'll just fix it myself. But his obsession, oddly enough, is with outboard motors.
Oh yeah,
he loves the design of and he collects outboard motors. That is my inheritance. Is outboard motors from the beginning of outboard motors. He has a warehouse full of outboard motors, and certain ones just tickle his fancy, and he's like,
Evinrude Seahorse,
shit, yeah.
Johnson Seahorse.
He's just I'm gonna write things down as we go, because I never do this with people, but I have a list of things that I feel like are things that I'm dying to know. So if I'm going to my phone, I'm not texting, I'm just writing down things I want to ask you.
Cool.
So you have another brother. There's 3 of you?
Yes.
I fucking just heard on the podcast, you're like, I think it's my brother Denny or something. And I was like, what the fuck?
Dean.
And I go, yeah, there's a third. What's this guy do?
Dean's on his second career. His first career, he was a jet pilot in Afghanistan and Iraq. And okay, so he has all this classified stuff and he doesn't divulge classified stuff. He's a captain in the Air Force. And I watched that movie. What's the movie with Tom Hanks? And it's This Is My Boat Now. And
Captain Phillips.
Captain Phillips. So I'm watching that and my brother's jet is in the movie. And it's the jet that the SEALs like run out the back of with their like raft and like parachute out of.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I know, Dean, you can't tell me things because they're classified. But in that movie, he was like, I was directly involved with that operation, which means he was flying that jet that dropped those guys.
So he's the oldest,
off.
I'm guessing, right?
He's the youngest.
He's the youngest? So are you the oldest?
House went to hell. Like my parents got divorced and they split up. He was like on his own from like age 14. And he was witnessing like that, you know, when a couple breaks up, it's like, if you're a child, it's like the most horrific thing to witness because all of the innocence and everything is just gone.
Shattered. You see your parents as humans all of a sudden.
They like moved and my brother Dean like illegally went to the school where he grew up, like in a different district, like across the river, 10 miles away, like figured out how to buy a car, figured out how to like get it registered, licensed, drove there. From a little age, because he's the youngest, so we had all of our lessons. Casey had already moved out of the house. I had already moved out of the house. Jordan,
Casey's probably got a kid at the time, I'm guessing. He had a kid when he was young, right?
Not quite.
Yeah.
Not quite. He's like 2 years away from having a kid. And and so he just had to figure it out. So the military was like very intelligent for him because 1, they paid for college. He went to University of South Carolina. And 2, the structure. And then he has that brain. He's very blessed. He has the creative brain that we have, that Casey and I have, but he also has the structural brain and the systems navigation brain.
Oh, wow.
So like he would go even after he was in the Navy, in the Air Force, he'd be like, oh yeah, I just got back from such and such concert at Madison Square Garden and I got front row seats. Like, it's been sold out for a year. How did you do it? And he's like, well, I talked to the guy and he's got all the IDs and he's got all the things. Anyway, he's a fucking Hollywood stuntman now.
Oh my God.
That's his job. Like he like jumps out of cars, jumps off of buildings, and he gets to do all this cool like car training and flipping cars and racing cars and sliding cars. And yeah, that's Dean.
Whatever your parents did or didn't do to you guys was the perfect amount to raise men. Because there's something I get from you. I get it from Casey, obviously, but there's something I get from you, which is I hope this comes out correctly, but a political innocence in that you strike me as someone who does not see sexuality, race, color, creed. You just seem like a person who sees people as people and has an eclectic group of friends. You strike me as that.
Don't you think that's a Gen X thing?
Oh, I think so. But I also think that I know a lot of dudes who are Gen X that, how about this? I think I know what you're saying. It's Gen X for people that are aware of what Gen X is. There are people that I grew up with that are very hardcore Republican. Yeah. And I'm not shitting on Republicans. It's a lot. The majority of my friends growing up, hardcore, will not get vaxxed Republicans. Mm-hmm. They won't let their children get vaxxed, and they think it's that Biden administration created this, and you just start going, man, you and I are best friends. Like you can't be that far off. Where's our middle ground these days? Like, don't get me wrong, I have definite opinions about where the left has gone wrong, but it's not that far off. And so I see a lot of people, but there's a purity to you that I don't know where I drew it, but as I'm watching your videos, there is a real honest representation of who you are put out to the world, and any of your flaws are already out there. And I really come away, and I binge watched you when I was in Serbia. I binge watched you. I watched all the videos, and then I ran out and I got frustrated, and I was like, God damn it, I need this more often. Yeah. But I don't know. It's you just, that's the way you strike me. And not everyone strikes me that way. But whatever your parents did, they raised I only know 2 of you, but
There's 4 of us.
Who's the 4th?
My sister.
Oh wow, what's she do?
She was the first one to get to LA.
Really?
Yeah. And she's like a career gal. So she worked like when she was just out of college, she worked for the company that owns Sharpie, and she was like in marketing there. And then she worked for I can't remember the company, but it was a tool company that made vice grips. That was amazing.
You're
that
a big
was
vice
amazing.
grip guy.
She was getting us like blades, like jigsaw blades, tons, every size vice grip you needed. And then now she's very smartly, I think she's working in nutrition. She's like a nutritionist that like designs diets and so forth. So, and she's very new into that, but I think she's doing very well.
Before we get too far into what I want to talk about with you and your journey and where you've been, and I want to go through the decades, and I want to hear your stories of decades of where you were. I always think that's interesting. Like when you go Bert 90s, I go college. I was at Florida State. I was a frat boy.
We're the same. We're 2 years apart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to know about your favorite brands, because you're a guy who from what I understand, you find something you like, and then that's your thing. Like pencils, you have a certain pencil that you love, and you don't fucking veer from that pencil. Yeah. There's certain, when one of my favorite videos of Father's Day, was you building a lamp for your father, and I loved it, and I sent it to my girls, and they just wrote back, "Good luck," and I was like, and then my other daughter wrote, "Why don't you have him build you one?" And I was like, it was such a great. But there are brands, like it seems to me like the Toyota 4Runner or Land Cruiser is your car.
Yep.
But let's go through some brands that you love, and I'll go back.
Let's go back to the politics thing, though.
Okay,
not
please.
right now.
Yeah.
But eventually, let's circle back, because I think it's really important, and I think our role as people who have command of the public's attention is we really have to try just bring people together. And you guys, the stand-ups, to me, are the most important artists around right now, because one, you have diplomatic immunity to talk about. The way that you guys address race is to find little differences and then point out how funny and ridiculous they are. That is the appropriate way to deal with race differences, because they are trivial, they're meaningless, and they're funny.
Yeah. Oh, I feel the same way. We'll talk about it now. I feel the same way about all things when it comes political. I feel honesty is the best thing. But at a certain point in my career, I decided I don't want anyone walking out of my show going, well, my night sucks now. And I remember I had a joke that I was working on that I thought was really good. And this black chick came up to me, and she was like, we were in DC, and she was like, "Hey, huge fucking fan." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." And she was like, "I just got to let you know, like, that one joke you have." And I was like, "Yeah." And she goes, "I don't think you're doing it right." And I went, "What do you mean?" And she goes, "Well, I want you to understand what I say, but when I heard it, it kind of makes me feel less than human." And I went, "Whoa, that's not my intention." She goes, "I know. That's why I'm telling you." She was like, and I explained why I wrote it the way I did. And she went, "I get that, but I know what your intention is when you get on stage, and you're not representing your intention right." And I went, "You're completely right." She goes, "So definitely, if you need to workshop it because you think it'll get better, do what you got to do. I'm just letting you know, tonight when you told it, I realized you were not meeting your intention." And I went, "Fuck, that's a good point." And then I started going with my stand-up. I was like, are there jokes that I'm taking an easy angle on, or I'm taking too hard of an angle on to try to find the brilliant way where maybe that isn't my intention. My intention is to simply make sure everyone that bought a ticket has a great time. I want to challenge people. I'm going to break a few eggs to make the omelet, but I want to make sure everyone has a good time, number one. I want them, and I don't want anyone to spend their money. And I remember there was a joke. I remember one time I was on stage in Chicago, and there was a guy, someone in the audience, was a predominantly black crowd, and someone in the audience, I was like, "What else are we going to talk about?" And someone goes, "Tell a joke about retards." And I was like, and what I known is my daughter Isla's dyslexic, and which is not obviously anything remotely parallel, but I said, look, here's the deal. I don't really do that because I have a child that, has some behavioral issues. And all I know is that if you love the fuck out of something, and then I come up here and trash the thing you love, that would ruin someone's night. And I'm just not going to do it. Yeah. I get done. This dude's fucking 6'7". He's got hands like bananas. Yeah. And he comes up, he goes, "Hey, you just missed a fucking ass beating by this much tonight." And I go, "What?" And he goes, "I got a son who's got special needs.
Oh, right.
And if you had fucking said a word, I would have beaten the fuck out of you. But hey, thank you for saying what you said. You made me feel like normal." walks out, and his wife comes up. His wife's a dime, right?
Yeah.
She was like, you made him, he won't even talk about what's going on in our family right now. You made him feel so good. Thank you. And I walked out and I went, by the way, if we're going to be honest, I just didn't have any of those jokes also. So like, I didn't have one. So I needed an out, right? Why not take the noble out? But after that conversation with that guy, I was like, all right, I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to go that angle.
Yeah.
And so, but I think that's what is important is bringing people together and making sure that people have a good time. And what's going on in our country is making sure that even if you tell a joke about guns or gun control, that you find both sides of that narrative and marry them so that everyone's feeling included. I think, I don't know.
Yeah. You're there's that documentary out about it's about basically about the algorithms that just keep us clicking. Rogan talks about it all the time.
I think I saw it.
I can't remember it.
It's on the social.
Yeah, it's Social Dilemma. Social Dilemma.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
dude, those algorithms, I wish I could change my fucking algorithm.
The conspiracy is not like, there is no conspiracy of a group of men or women sitting around a table saying, we'll do this. The conspiracy is within us. And we click on sensational things and we click on things that get our, adrenaline going. And,
you're right.
And it's outrage. And that's what's happening. And it's just that one scary guy whose job at Facebook was to monetize Facebook. That's what he did. And he was like, we could turn the dials to make Facebook do anything. And we just cranked all the dials to make it make the most amount of money that it could make.
It's fucking brilliant. I mean, if you look at my Google News, it's quite often it's most of the stuff I hate. Because I guess the stuff I hate, I click on the first.
Yeah.
And so I tried to change it. I have a buddy named Ari Shafir who started Googling puppies like crazy.
I know this story.
Stuff would come in his feed. And I was just like, that's fucking genius.
Yeah.
And so now I'll go fewer like this or more like this. One of the things I want to do, this is a sidebar, but I'm always stunned that female celebrities can get in the news for posting a picture of themselves in bikinis. It's like Charlize Theron stuns in red bikini poolside.
Yes.
And I'm like, I would love that to be my news. Like for people to be like, Bert Kreischer stuns in a Speedo poolside with his kids.
But didn't you do that with your dance?
I guess I did, but I guess I don't pop up enough. I don't know.
Yeah.
But were your parents, you guys grew up in New Hampshire? No.
I was born in Maine.
Yeah.
And then when I was very little, my mother moved she was basically a single mom. We have different fathers, Casey and me and the rest of them have different fathers. They have Barry Neistat, who adopted me when I was like 5, and I have his name, obviously. And then my father's this dude up in Maine that I've met once that I made a movie about it. And it was like the pilot for the HBO series that Casey and I did. Yeah. And, but she was a single mom. She institutionalized my biological father because he was crazy. And, I shouldn't say that. It's very insensitive. So he had mental illness and he was institutionalized. And I believe he got better, but she got full custody of me.
Yeah.
And then moved me into this little town in Connecticut called New London. And she was a waitress and my dad sold restaurant supplies. And then, you know how that goes. Yeah. And so, and so I grew up in Connecticut. And then when I was legally able, I've left that place because it's not for like young people.
So wait, what was the impetus for you leaving? And how old were you? Were you like 17?
It was a very small town. I was 18. I went to college. I went to West Virginia for 2 years and then William and Mary in Virginia for 2 years. Didn't graduate.
I loved West Virginia. I went to a party there.
Yeah.
There was a band called Charlie's on Acid that I fucking loved.
Morgantown.
Yeah.
Were you in college?
I was in college when I went there.
So who was a major? What was his name? He had like, his first name was like a military rank, like Major, the quarterback for the football team.
For who? For
WVU.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Type that in. Quarterback 90s, West Virginia.
Yeah.
We used to play you guys every year.
Yeah. FSU.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys, were you there for Charlie Ward?
I was.
Oh my God.
It was amazing.
And then he went into the NBA.
It's such a brilliant move. He played so long in the NBA compared to, he would maybe or may not would have had a career. You look at so many quarterbacks that went in. Charlie Ward I've never experienced the confidence I feel sometimes when I go on stage. When I feel very confident, I go on stage, I go, this is going to go pretty good. Like there's going to be some new stuff, I'll learn stuff. But like, I felt that the only correlation I've ever felt was Charlie Ward on 3rd and long. You just knew he'd convert. There was a weird thing about Charlie Ward where like anytime he had the ball in his hands, good things were going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
He was such an amazing talent.
Yeah.
Him and did you find it, Halston? Halston's not a big sports guy. He's never going to find it.
I felt bad for the guys rooting against him. I fucking hated Florida. I still hate Florida. And because I'm from Connecticut and they would beat UConn, you know, in the Final Four like every year when I was in college. Now UConn's pretty amazing. Major Harris.
Yeah.
That was it.
So then college for 2 years, college for another 2 years.
College. And then I just didn't graduate. There's all those dots you need to connect. You can't just take classes that you like with professors that you like. You have to, and then I just like ran out of money and all the like financial aid and all of that stuff. Although it was a lot easier to get financial aid back then.
What's fascinating,
it was a lot cheaper too.
What's fascinating about this conversation I just realized is technologically, I will track with you.
Yeah.
Like technologically, we both had the same and like when you were in
How
college,
old were you when you sent your first email?
Wow. Well, that's where we're technologically different because I'm a little bit of a old person when it comes to that. I sent my first email when I was 25 years old.
I was 22. It was the same year. It was probably the same year.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I remember they said to us, they sent us home from school and they said, your job today is to send your thing you just wrote, send it in an email. And I was like, how do we do that? And she was like, well, you wrote it on your computer, right? And I said, yeah. She was, well, cut and paste it. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Did you use Pegasus Mail?
I used
thing?
Prodigy.
Oh, okay.
Prodigy was my server, what I had. No. It was, so wait. So I had a Florida State email account. So I said to her, okay, what do I do? And she goes, go into your document, cut and paste it. And I go, cut and paste what? Like, how do I, you want me to cut it out of, how do I cut something out of the computer? She goes, you're going to find a cut button. And this is part of the thing. You got to figure this out. I was like, 4 hours. 4 hours on a computer and bringing my roommates up. And they're like, I don't get computers. And then I had to find I had an email address at Florida State. I didn't understand it so much that I thought no one will, in their right minds, will ever use this technology. It's way too crazy.
Yes. That's what I think that starting with the millennial generation, they don't realize how many paradigms we had to adopt to. Because I remember it started out, it was Apple II, which was a whole OS where you had to type in commands.
Yeah.
And then it went to Macintosh. And there was one lady in the entire school district, Mrs. Bell, and she had the 1984 Macintosh.
Wow.
One for the entire district. And she would bring it around. She taught computer science, but it was once a month. 1 2-hour class a month. And this is the device that is going to be ubiquitous in the world and we're all going to have it in our pockets, but we didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember when she was like, oh, and I was like, whoa, this is the new computer and it's easier than the old computer. Because usually it's like, oh, the new, more sophisticated thing is more difficult. And then the schools switched to Apple and I was like, I'm home free. It's just you take the little arrow, you click on the things. And then this was around the time when Apple almost went out of business and they were getting super crazy. They flipped and went back to DOS IBM machines because it was the school district. They couldn't buy the latest Windows, whatever. And I don't even think it wasn't 95. I'm talking about in the 80s.
Oh yeah.
Late 80s.
In when I was in 4th grade, I learned computer programming. I learned
logo.
Whatever it was, I learned
basic where you make the little thing draw a square and it took like a half an hour to write in. If you made one mistake. So they brought in DOS. They said, oh, we're not doing the Macintosh thing anymore. We're going to do DOS. And I remember just sitting, I was in 9th grade. And I remember just sitting and I said, I will not learn this. I don't care what the consequences are. I will not learn this. If this is what it takes to do whatever my dream is, then so long.
Do you know how many times?
And I was right. But if you did that with email.
Oh, I did it.
I went way too long.
I did it with everything. I always looked at technology as something to fight against. I sat with a guy.
Okay. Oh, good. Okay. Now we're cooking.
You ready for this? I sat with a guy one time who sat me down and he said, I want to teach something that's going to change your career.
Yeah.
He goes, take a look at my computer. And he showed me a thing called MySpace. And he goes, what I do is I communicate with my fans. And I'm telling you, it's really it's going to change everything. This is how we're going to work as comics. And I was like, good fucking luck. Cut to like 2 weeks later, I'm snorting coke with these guys in Venice. and they're all have their computers out. I'm like, what are you fucking nerds doing? And they're like, oh, we're programming. And I was like, what do you mean programming? And they're like, we work for a company called MySpace. I go, my buddy Dane Cook just told me about MySpace. And they're like, Dane's really big on MySpace. They're like, you should fucking join. And I was like, good luck, nerds. I was like, I'm going to do some coke and fucking have a good time. Yeah,
because we wanted the old romantic stuff. It was like when the digital stuff came out, when the digital cameras and video cameras and editing came out, I felt like such a sellout. Because to make it, if you had made it, if you had wrote a script or something, you get to work with the old Panavision film canisters. You didn't want to be state of the art. You wanted to be like Spielberg. You wanted to be like every filmmaker ever.
It's like the scene in Boogie Nights when everyone's just shooting on tape. They're like, no, we just shoot all day.
Yeah.
And Jack's like, what are you talking about? So we're not. And then he's like, just fuck them and suck them. Yeah. And I really honestly felt like that. And I pushed back from texting. I pushed back from cell phones. Mm-hmm. I pushed back.
Me too. I was late to all these parties.
I remember my buddy Obi was telling me, he goes, one day on the internet, you're going to get your groceries delivered to you. I just started comedy and I was like, that will never happen. I will never not go to a grocery store. He goes, no, movies. He goes, I'm not telling, this is 2000, probably 2000 when he's telling me this.
Yeah.
He goes, movies, your groceries, your shopping. I go, so you're telling me I won't try on a shoe.
Yeah.
I'll just buy a shoe and it'll get
They're just going to
shipped to
steal
me.
your credit card. Number. Get some Russian guys gonna steal your credit card number, max your thing out, and you're never gonna do it again.
I ended up we're all sitting in a living room, we're all drinking and partying, and I'm laughing, and they go, you are the caveman who's going, so wait.
Yeah.
You're telling me this wheel's gonna change everything.
Right.
I'm gonna take my wheel to the river.
Yeah.
And I was like, this will never happen. And then cut to, I have not gone to a store in 17 months to buy anything. I only buy offline.
Yeah.
And it's like so nice to go, I know that I'm a size 13 in Nike. I know that I'm a size 12 in Adidas.
Yeah.
I know that my running shoe, I'm a size 12 and a half in Asics.
Yep.
I know what socks I like and I just get them sent. My Rogaine gets sent to me. I get my Liquid Death dropped off at my front door. Like there's certain things and then I know that I have my things lined up that I like. Mm-hmm. And the only place I've yet to fall to my orders is weed. I still go to a fucking dispensary.
Yeah.
There's something really romantic.
It's very romantic. I remember the first time I did that. It was downtown LA, and you went up, and it was kind of hard to get to, and it was up on like a mezzanine. And I went in, and there's like a caged area, and a guy standing there with a gun, and he's not a cop. And there was like behind bulletproof glass, and you slid your weed ID and your driver's license ID, and you were like on some kind of list. And then you just waited in the waiting room. One person walked out, you walked in, and you got your own barista, who is a beautiful woman.
Yes.
With like beautiful, like the sexiest kind of woman with the, tattoos.
The kind of chick that you'd go, this is the girl I want to sit and watch My So-Called Life, all of the episodes with her as she packs bowls with her thumb. Oh,
like the kind of girl that they made Christina Pajinski into for that special with the what did they call her? Tina. And that was a beautiful experience, and that was romantic. I lost my train of thought. Something about
going into a weed dispensary was so beautiful and
oh right, yeah. And then I don't know, but we were talking.
I went
about
to my first dispensary was in Colorado.
Yeah,
and it was it's got to be early.
Oh, and it was better than Amsterdam. That's where I was. That was going to be my punchline.
Our dispensaries are so much better than Amsterdam.
This is better than Amsterdam.
Amsterdam, you go in, they go, we got 4 types of weeds, and you see a little nugget, as opposed to my first place in Colorado. The guy opened up a trash can full of weed, took the top of it and wafted it like he was a barista. Like, do you take a smell of that? And I'm like, motherfucker. I go, what? How much weed is that? He's like, 5 pounds.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit, dude. I'll tell you, and I don't even really smoke. I don't really even smoke that much, but something about dispensaries, it's very romantic.
I agree.
And I think it's because we grew up in a time where drugs were illegal.
Yeah.
I had marching orders. You do not do drugs. You do not transport drugs. You do not sell drugs.
Yeah.
You do not, there's no flying with weed in your backpack. And now it's changed so much that you're like, I feel like a communist must have fell when the wall fell and been like, so we just walk over to Germany now to eat in West Germany. It's just insane to me.
Yeah.
When did you got sober? What age?
2012. I was 37.
2012.
Yeah.
You've shown that video of you on the ground a number of times.
Yeah. Just because God bless the girl I was with at the time. She just, there were so many of those episodes.
Really?
And she just like had, the camera was there and she would just captured it for who knows why, but now we know why. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it, yeah, I know. I listen to you and I worry about you, you know, because you listen to enough podcasts, you know, the people you listen to.
Yeah.
But for the rest of us, we feel like we spend more time with you guys than we do with like our families and stuff. And it's like,
I spend more time with Rogan than I do my kids.
wow. And it feels like, I mean, me too. And it just, and to be finally here and be like talking to you, it's like totally crazy. But I don't, we were
You
just
said,
talking about
I worry
sobriety.
about you. Yeah. No,
Oh, I worry about you. I hear about when I heard you, there was like, I think you were talking to Segura and you were like, yeah, so guys, I'm going to rehab. And I was like, whoa. I was like, what is the no substance? I was like, man, he's in for a big surprise. Because the way I describe it is like, it's not the not having the substances.
Yeah.
It's the being confronted with the reason the substances worked so well with you.
See,
For you.
I would be,
For me.
No, I would be, hey, Halston, will you turn on the AC? Crank the AC. I would be concerned to have that conversation because I know now that substances are in my life for a certain reason.
Yeah.
And I would be curious to be confronted by that. And I don't know if it would change my relationship with the substances. It would have to. But at this point, it's like, you know, it's like, not to say things are working well, but I'm this high functioning alcoholic that I get all my shit done and then some.
Yeah.
And so no one's going to call me on it. I go to the doctor every 9 months. And so all my blood levels are normal. My liver's functioning great.
Yeah.
And so everyone's like, I don't know. What do we say? Like,
yeah, no. You would be like, you're the one that we wish we could be.
it was,
But look at Kreischer, man. He's fine. Have you ever been to a meeting?
Yeah.
To an AA meeting?
Yeah. Have you?
Oh my, thousands.
Oh, you still go?
Oh yeah. I haven't gone since COVID.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, no, that's not true. That's not true. I've been to like 3 or 4 since COVID.
Okay.
But I used to go like sometimes multiple times a day because that's how you deal with, it's not the craving. It's the craziness. It's the just insanity.
Yeah.
Just like you feel absolutely crazy. And like you call someone and you start describing the problem that you think the problem is, like my Metro card and I bought a new one and I'm sliding it and I have a meeting I got to go to. And he's like, go to a meeting. And if you're in New York or LA, there's a meeting in 15 minutes, 10 minutes away from you.
Yeah.
So
I went to one meeting one time.
yeah.
It was over by Hollywood and Highland. I walked in and the first thing I did is I recognized a couple celebrities. And I'm so shallow. I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
My buddy, I don't know if I'm sure I probably told this, but it's worth telling. Leanne and I have been dating for like a few months and we went and I got drunk and got into an argument with one of her friends at a dinner and all the women teamed up on me and I got buried in a corner and I couldn't let go of it that night and then the next day. And then the day after that, I was still upset about it. And Leanne's like, maybe this guy isn't who I thought he was. Now she knows I'm a little bit obsessive compulsive. And so that I sometimes it takes a second for things to get out of my system, especially things when I'm wrong or I feel I've been wronged, but I am wrong.
Yeah.
And she broke up with me and I was devastated.
How long had you been together?
Just a few months. But when she broke up with me, I realized, oh, shit, this is the good one. This is the good one. This is the one you don't, whatever moment of clarity I had, I go, this is the one you don't want to lose. I remember panicking and then I went home and I didn't drink that night. And I woke up the next day and I was eating an Asian pear on my house on Glencoe and overlooking Hollywood and Highland. And this dude who used to be like a celebrity wrangler who kept celebrities sober was my neighbor, really fucking stud. I mean, if you're going to get a wrangler, this is the guy.
Yeah.
Tattoos, ripped, motorcycles, fucking the coolest dude in the world.
What's a celebrity wrangler?
He gets paid by studios. So when you do a movie, they bring you in and they
like get him to the Greek?
No.
Okay.
Kind of, but no. So when you do a movie, if you go in, they do a big physical, they do blood work, they do everything. They test everything, test you for drugs, alcohols. If you pop positive for anything on there, then you become uninsurable. And to make you insurable, what they'll do is they'll hire a guy who's a celebrity coach who then lives with you. He does everything with you. He lives with you. He gets you to the set, gets you home from the set, and then and then you can be insured. And so a lot of famous actors, I don't know if I know who he worked with.
Yeah.
And they were all huge celebrities who had just failed drug tests or were uninsurable based on past experiences. And so that's what he did for a living. Coolest fucking dude. And he comes down and he's like, "What's up?" I was like, "I don't fucking know." And I had said to him a couple times, like, "I don't know, maybe I'll quit drinking this week." And I'd quit drinking for a week, and he was, it's, you know, it's what he did for a living, so he was always hyper attuned to it. He said, "What's going on?" I said, "I don't know." He's like, said something. I said, "Hey, Leanne and I are not dating." And he was like, "Oh, I liked her." I was like, "Yeah, she was awesome." He's like, "What happened?" I told him, and he goes, "Oh," he's like, "Did you drink last night?" And I said, "Nah." And he goes, "Why not?" And I said, "I don't know, man. I just felt like it was the wrong place to go. I was really depressed." And he went, "Hey, man, why don't you come to a meeting with me?" And I was in such a vulnerable place that I was like, "Okay."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, because I'm lost and I'm not doing anything in comedy. I wasn't doing anything. I felt like, I'd had a little bit of a career. How old
were you?
29.
Okay.
So I'd had this little bit of a career where I had some television shows and then nothing. And then I was just starting to tour, but I was hosting and featuring and I wasn't making any money. And I had money left over from the deals. So I had money, but it just wasn't, I was just lost. I was really artistically lost. And so he took me to a meeting and we went and got coffee. Everything about it I loved. We went and got coffee before. We talked a little bit. Went to the meeting. It was really good. But what had happened in the meeting was I had heard people's problem. I have a weird thing with intimacy. And so I'd heard people's problems. People said their problems. And I was like, these are real problems. Like mine is this chick and I are dating. And then he was like, "Come to a meeting tomorrow." And I was like, "I'm good." I was like,
yeah,
I didn't feel like I belonged there. I felt like when all I remember is one guy coming up and he goes, "I've had a rough day." And everyone's like, "My name's Rick. I'm an alcoholic." And I'm like, not a real name, obviously. And they're like, "What's the matter?" And he's like, "I woke up, I sucked my landlord's dick, and then I lit his car on fire." And I was like, "This is a
that
real
was that day."
Yeah. And I was like, "Well, okay." I was like, I'm not there. And then everyone comes up very, very welcoming and, you know, tries to get you to, you know, come back and keep coming back. And "Hey man, why don't I give me your number?" And I'm very turned off by that kind of energy sometimes. And so I just went back. I just quit drinking for like 8 months. And then, and in the process, got Leanne back together, started dating again, never wanted for alcohol, never thought about alcohol. And we went to Europe together, just still dating over New Year's Eve. And we were in Venice and it started snowing and they brought out a bottle of wine and I said, "Oh, I don't drink." And Leanne's like, "Hey, just so you know, like, I don't think you have a drinking problem. So if you want to have a glass of wine, have a glass of wine."
Yeah.
And I looked at her and I was like, "We're in Venice. It's fucking snowing. The city's closed down. We found the one restaurant open. No one's in here.
Yeah.
I want a fucking glass of wine." She goes, "Have a glass of wine." So we had a glass of wine. We went around Venice in the middle of the evening, stayed out until like midnight.
Yeah.
It was snowing. It was beautiful. We just made out in St. Mark's Square and it was fucking perfect. And
fuck it, never quit, man.
Never quit again. Never quit again.
Never quit again.
And look, she's my barometer.
Out of your
She'll tell me like she'll pull the plug at times. Like for perfect example, I get surgery, right?
Yeah.
I hadn't drank for like 2 weeks because I'm getting ready for surgery.
Yeah.
Get surgery and don't drink for like another week, I guess, or whatever, maybe. And then my dad comes over, have a couple glasses of wine, we have a cigar, and my arm's in a cast, and I'm like, "Hey, how about another glass of wine?" And she's like, "You're done." I was like, "What?" She goes, "You have a fucking cast on. You've been drinking. You haven't drank in a while. You're gonna fucking fall and hurt yourself.
Yeah.
You're done." And I could not get a glass of wine out of her, and so I just fucking went to bed. And so that's why Leanne's a little bit of a bully in that way.
Yeah.
But yeah,
look who she's dealing with.
Yeah. I mean, I am a fucking. But yeah, but I think it's interesting. It's interesting because in that Baja thing, I could tell you were drinking.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I could tell by your voice.
Okay.
It wasn't the same voice I know now. And then I thought, my first thought was, what's my sober voice sound like? Because you can tell when people have a drinking voice. Like you see your buddies, you're like, "Hey, what's up?" And I was like, "Why? That's not the personality I know."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, that's so interesting." This podcast is brought to you by Noom. I'm taking my glasses off because I've been trying to lose weight like crazy. It just started working. It just started working because I am fucked up when it comes to food. I don't know what is good food and I don't know what is bad food. I just know that it all of a sudden it makes things a lot crazier. Noom is here how to change how we see food with a psychology-based approach that looks at what you're eating, but also how you're eating. Instead of making you feel guilty or regret, Noom empowers you to keep going. Noom's cognitive behavioral approach helps you unlearn bad habits and better understand your relationship with food. One size does not fit all. Choose your goals and Noom will personalize a weight loss program for you. 80% of Noom's users finish the program. Over 60% have stuck with their goals for at least a year. With Noom, taking care of your health is empowering instead of stress-inducing. No need to worry about ruining the whole program with one day off. Noom's going to help you get back on track. All you need is a daily 10-minute check-in. No grueling early mornings or huge chunks out of your day. Start building better habits for healthier long-term goals. Sign up for your trial at noom.com/Bertcast. That's NOOM.com/Bertcast. I'm good at editing. I'm not great at editing. I'm good. I'm competent at editing. I can do two things editing. Basically, that's what I should tell you. I can do two things editing, but I'm not great at it. If you're looking for someone great at what you're doing, you should find an expert at what you're doing. That's why Fiverr is amazing. Fiverr connects you with the best-in-class freelancers with experiences in hundreds of digital specialties and every skill imaginable to help you with any project like editing. I get a real editor to do it, and all of a sudden it looks fucking great. Fiverr's global network of on-demand freelance talent is here to help. Whether you're launching your business or scaling your current business in need of extra support from graphic design, copywriting, marketing, web programming, film editing, scoring music, and more, find talent to begin working on your project within minutes. It's super easy. Customize your search by service, deadline, price, seller review, even more. No more guessing games. You know exactly what you're paying for upfront. No negotiating needed. Pricing is always project-based, not hourly. Fucking thank God. They tell you, well, my rate is for a day, but this is going to take me a day and a half. Well, fucking how much of an extra day and a half? 24/7 customer service. Reach out with any question, anytime, anywhere. Freelancers have worked with some of the most influential brands in the world. Find freelancers that are ready for you when you are ready. Find a freelance with a specific skill you need for your next project. Check out Fiverr.com and receive 10% off your first order by using my code BERT. Find all the digital services you need in one place. That's Fiverr.com. And the code is BERT. Again, that's Fiverr, Fiverr.com. And the code's BERT. But what was there cocaine in that video?
No, it was because we couldn't go to Baja. I didn't connect the dots, but we couldn't go to Baja because my boys got nervous. They were all new. Most of them, the guys who didn't want to go were new. They were brand new at motorcycles. And that we were all from the East Coast. We're all from the Northeast. And
this story starts off so romantic. Yeah. Can I just paint the picture? You get a flat tire in New England, and it's raining, and there's a bike shop in New Hampshire within 15 minutes from you.
Yeah.
And the one thing you said, which is so true, no one rides motorcycles but for 4 months.
Yeah.
And then they go on great adventures. And the guy says to you, greatest motorcycle trip you've ever had. And you say,
I said the Alps. I said, I had only ridden a little bit. And this was my first bike my first shifter bike with a transmission. I'd had mopeds when I was a kid. But I had learned to ride in Austria on a shifter bike.
Yeah.
And I said, I did a trip through the Alps. I did a lap around Austria. And I said, that's got to be one of the best places in the world. And he said, the Alps are nice. And I said, well, what's the spot? And he was just like, Baja.
Yeah.
And then he pointed to this little gallery in the motorcycle shop, and it was just covered in photographs of his Baja trips. And the reason it's a mecca is because it's basically a motocross track that's 1,000 miles long. And once a year, I think the Baja 1000 is technically illegal. They race $1 million trucks and motorcycles it's usually from like Ensenada all the way to Cabo San Lucas.
Yes.
And so I wanted to do as much of it as I could with my buddies. And I corralled 4 people, said they would do it with me. We went, we got to San Diego, and then people in San Diego were talking about the cartels.
And what year is this? 2000?
This was 2009.
Okay.
And they were just fomenting fear. This always happens.
Yeah.
It happens with anything you want to do. If you say you want to go snowboarding, you're going to hear all the fear stories.
Surgery. I just got surgery.
Yeah.
All I heard was, "Ooh, you do not want to go under."
And it's just this rumor thing. It's just like a thing. It's annoying. And that's what happened to my gang. And so
I could see the fear in your friend with the good hair.
yeah, he had never ridden a motorcycle. He bought a motorcycle for the trip.
And you could see that he was like, "I'm not going, and I need to convince you not to go because I'm definitely not going."
Yeah. Well, no, he wasn't. He was going to go. He was going to go. If we had all decided to go, Scott definitely would have gone.
Really?
But I don't know I think I'd put this in, but he had a heart transplant like 10 years later after that. Not even. No, not 10 years later. 3 years later. 4 years later. 2013, he had a heart. That young guy was born with he had a heart, like some kind of congenital.
Congenital defect.
Some like defective heart.
Yeah.
And then he got a transplant when he was like 30 something, 37, 36. And so he couldn't ever, he's a natural athlete.
Yeah.
His sister was a champion cross-country runner in Connecticut, and he couldn't engage in physical exertion. Now imagine growing up and the psychology of that. You can't ever push yourself because it's dangerous. And so he's got to deal with that too. Yeah. So he's got to deal with, if I get hurt down there, there's no hospitals. If I got to go to the hospital, there are no hospitals.
Yeah.
And we got this cartel thing and the rumor thing. And the reason there's a cartel is because of all the fucking assholes up in New York getting bottle service, blowing lines of cocaine.
Oh my God. That's why
I said don't do cocaine. It's a stupid drug.
Oh my God.
Because it was all the cartels. Yeah, I didn't connect.
Do you realize how many people must have watched that video and they were like, "So wait, when's the cocaine show up? Are they all on cocaine?" Like I thought the whole time I was like, they've been doing cocaine. That's why he hurt his ankle. Like it's the whole time. Great. I misread that entirely.
No, I hate cocaine. I've done it, but I think it's so dumb. I hate I love Mexico.
Yeah.
Although there is a flip side. It keeps the cowards out.
Cocaine or Mexico?
The reputation of the cartels.
Yeah.
It keeps the cowards out. So the people, there's tens of thousands of people down there surfing, rock climbing, having adventure lives down in Mexico. Yeah. And I think it's it's inexpensive and doable because it's scary. And my favorite trips in Mexico have all been overland. I've driven from the Bronx to Oaxaca, which is like almost, it's like very southern Mexico, thousands of miles into Mexico.
That's an interesting insight because the places that are safe, like Hawaii, are filled with yahoos.
Or Bali.
Fucking
I was disappointed. I mean, I got the royal treatment in Bali. I went and did a project with this artist named Tom Sachs, and they're for Hurley, and this guy named Rizal Tanjung, who is he united the Hawaiian surf community with the Bali surf community.
Wow!
And he's like a king. He has like the most amazing house on the mountaintop in Bali. And I just found Bali to be like more densely populated than Manhattan. It's just thousands of scooters, all the Americans and Australians. I mean, it's a wonder of the world. It's absolutely beautiful.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Wonderful. But I think the point I'm trying to make is it's so easy and accessible to do, especially if you're from Australia, that those kinds of places get overrun and they get kind of ruined. And Mexico, God bless Mexico, is not like that because there's a certain scariness because everything they show us is cartels and murder, and they chop their heads off and they're blah, blah. I just heard a story this morning with, I think it was like Bill Burr and maybe on Segura's show.
He was just with Segura.
Where he was talking and it was some anecdotal story about the cartels and it was like the scary heads on poles kind of story.
Yeah.
But there's thousands and thousands of like expatriates down there and surfers.
There are people that are brave. And by the way, I went to Cabo San Lucas.
Yeah.
And we drove the dune buggies that you would drive in the Baja 1000.
Yeah.
And there were all Americans down there that were like, "Nah, it's fucking, you just gotta be a fucking man."
But don't get involved. Don't smoke weed. Don't even smoke pot.
Really?
Don't buy weed when you're down there. Don't. Just be real. You got to be really respectful and really careful.
That's the one thing.
A crazy American party. Like you got to be really respectful and like quiet. I think. I mean, you have to have that. You should have that cartel fear in the back of your head, but only as much to tamp down your, just to be a fucking dignified human being. Don't act like an asshole American.
So did you do all of the Baja? I haven't watched
1,000. We did the whole. We ran into the. I mean, that story. There's a sequel to that footage where Neve and another guy and me, who were all experienced, like off-road guys. We did the whole 1,000 miles off-road down from Ensenada all the way down to Cabo San Lucas.
Really?
And we rolled up to Ryan Berman, the guy who filmed me crossing. We rolled up to his wedding, and it was really beautiful because everyone had flown in from San Diego. So everyone was in perfect clothes and stuff. We pull up to the valet parking in this 5-star beautiful hotel. We are like someone took a spray paint machine and sprayed us with dust for a movie. Like take off our goggles and there's like the outline around our eyes.
Wow.
Covered in dust. All moto gear.
I saw your bike covered in dust and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. And we go into the hotel and people are just staring at us. And we're like, no, we rode our dirt bikes here. We rode our dirt bikes. They're parked right there. And like in the valet, they're like covered in tents and extra gasoline and everything.
That is so.
No, there's Neve Schulman. Yeah. He's a famous guy. He's a catfish guy. Neve Schulman. That's him.
I saw him and I went, how do I know this guy?
That's him. I've known him since he was 19.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
I was thinking that. I was like, I wonder what people you've known in the industry that have gone on to do things where you're like, where you don't even realize it. Like people always say that about Bert. They're like, Whitney Cummings one time was like, I have a hard time being around him because he's so famous and he's such an icon. And I was like, I have no reverence for Bill Burr. Like I've just known him too long to. And so, but I was like, I wonder how many of those people you have where there's people in the business where you're like, no. Yeah, I grew up with that guy. We started in the same time.
Yeah. There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of people coming up that building, 368 Broadway, where Casey kept his studio. In that building, someone's got to do a movie about this. Like the people who came, because you could get subsidized rent from the federal government because after September 11th, that place, it was in like the poison zone. So we got a great studio. We got a great studio there for like way below market. And so Neve had a studio across the street with his brothers. His brother is named Ariel Schulman and his partner is named Henry Joost. And they just directed a movie that came out on Netflix during COVID with Jamie Foxx called The Power Project. Like they've done paranormal activity movies. They've done huge blockbuster movies, these kids. And that they're in their 30s. So you know who Greta Gerwig is? Yeah, how do I know Greta Gerwig? She was nominated for Academy Award for Little Women. Oh, she's Frances Ha. She's like the main character. She's like one of the gang. She's one of that gang. Lena Dunham had a studio for a little while, I think, in that building. Josh and Ben Safdie, who just did Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler. Wow. There's more. I forget because there are so many of them. And we were all in these little studios, on top of each other, next door to each other. And we all worked and built. All our studios kind of looked like Casey's studios. Oh, his studio was something I got so... When he said he was getting rid of a studio and moving to LA, I was like, oh. He still has it. Yeah, I know. He's there right now. Yeah, I just saw a video where he was like, I'm back. And I was like, you motherfucker. Yeah. So wait, let's talk about riding motorcycles for a second because it's something, I've ridden motorcycles. I don't. Do you have a license? Yeah. Okay. And so, but I don't ride a lot. And I was talking about buying a motorcycle. I almost bought one over in Serbia. Yeah. And then I was like, I said, I want to buy a motorcycle, but for the reason that when you had the video of you driving your loop that you love to drive on your wife's bike. No, I was on my bike. Was that your bike? My BMW. And and you said, you did the loop and you said, I really love riding this loop. And you talked about the mile per hour. And I was like, that's why I want a motorcycle. Maybe you'll explain this better, but for the feeling I have, you're very present. Mm-hmm. You're forced to be living in the moment and you're forced to be aware of your surroundings. And it does clear your mind of the shit going on that you don't want to think of. Yes. So you get on a motorcycle and do what is that, a 3-mile loop or a 5-mile loop that you do? You know what? I'm going to give a present for you. Oh, please. You can have it. That's the loop.
This is the loop right here.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah. I saw that and I went.
It takes, okay, but I can make that. Oh, okay. One of the reasons I live in Los Angeles, no shit, Bert, I think it's the greatest motorcycle city in the world. I also think it's the greatest city in the world. And I'm not alone on that.
And can I tell you that when you were explaining Mexico, I'm so glad that so many people are leaving. I go, we're weeding out the weak. We're staying. Look, the homeless encampments aren't going anywhere for a couple years, but I'm cool with it. Like let's make LA like cocaine in Mexico. It weeds out the weak.
Yes. But what you say about the thing about the motorcycles, it's sort of like the thing with Mexico. Like, don't go down there and fuck around. Yeah. Go down there with respect because it's sacred. That's a sacred. There's so many magical anecdotes I could tell you from Mexico. Just one. Okay, just one. This has happened to me. Okay. I was with my friend Chloe, who I did the episode about her. Her kid was born on the boat in the middle of the Pacific. And
is this the one where you're like, I'm afraid I'm going to lose this friend? Permission?
Yes.
I want to talk to you about her. Keep going. By the way, I also want to talk to you about the 80-year loop that you talked about. There's so much I want to talk to you about.
Oh, this is so much fun. I love doing this.
I could do this all the time.
Okay, great. So I went and saw her in New Year's 2015, 2014. And she is a platonic till we die friend, no sexuality, nothing, none of that ever. And we've had tons of opportunity. It's off the table because of the respect and the reverence for the friendship. I've been friends with her for 18 years. I met her in Berlin. She's the ultimate adventurer. So for those of you who don't know, pull up the video. I'm risking a friendship. I think it's called I'm risking a friendship. It's called risking an 18-year friendship.
So pull up the video so everyone knows, and we'll put a link to these videos in our bio so people can find them, because this was one of the most engaging videos, and I didn't expect to find it engaging based on the title. By the way, you got to log into my whatchamacallit so that we get rid of these ads.
You didn't think it would be because of the title? You did think it would be because of the title.
when I'm
having trouble with titles and thumbnails, Bert. I gotta tell you.
Clearly.
I don't know how to do
is a horrible drug. It was a great title because I clicked it, but the whole time I thought you guys were on cocaine. So when it said risking an 18-year-old friendship, I didn't understand what we were talking about. Yeah. And I started watching, and then I identified with it because so often have I kept people's real names in my stories and used people's direct stories of their lives that intersect with me. And I very quickly identified with the feeling you must have had when you got her letter back.
Yeah.
And that's why I loved it. And I love the title for this. But this woman is without a doubt one of the most inspirational, engaging, like just a woman who has done it, a person. I say woman because she is a woman. Yeah. Person-wise. Like, it's like, imagine if Anthony Bourdain had never had the TV show and just did his own life. Yeah. It's Anthony Bourdain without the fucking TV show, without the need for being on a TV show. She's living an authentic thumbprint of a life. And the fact that you're friends makes so much sense. And the fact that this whole video is based on, I've now talked about this woman and I'm not certain she's going to be comfortable with it.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, now I'm in love with this woman. I think she's amazing, but I need her to be cool with it. Because if she's not, I'll understand that. I'll get that. And then when she says she is, whatever, of course, whatever.
Yeah.
Hey man, how's your, like, just passes it off. Yeah. That's all my friends. My buddy Hutch, I told the story about me, Hutch, and Harper going and doing acid at Disneyland. And I called him up. I'd already filmed it. I'd already put it on Comedy Central. It was coming out that week. And they went, have you talked to Hutch about this? And I went, do I need to? And they're like, yeah, you said his real name. Yeah. I called Hutch. I was like, bro, I told a story about us taking acid and go to Disneyland. And he goes, whatever, B man, have a good special. And you're like,
I have one of those right now.
Really?
Right now. Tomorrow's video. A guy, I thought he was my enemy. Turns out he was an ally. He's basically a stranger. Not really. I mean, we know each other and I'm going to see him for a long time, but you'll see the video tomorrow. And that's kind of where that's the direction of the video. It's like, but I don't have his permission to put him in the thing, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm really honoring him.
Yeah.
I'm really honoring him with this video. And he's like a film guy, so he's going to think it's cool.
He'll get a kick out
but
of
like
it.
I went to his house today. I couldn't find him to get the permission. I'm like, I might go this afternoon and find him. But
yeah. So you were saying.
Okay. So I'm just,
motorcycles.
This whole thing started because I was trying to point out an example of Magic Mexico, right? Okay. So I was with Chloe in Mexico and her mother has a beautiful house in Oaxaca. And it's this compound that 30 families built in Oaxaca. And it's just an amazing little like expatriate community. And so her mother goes down there for the winters, and this was New Year's. And her mom she's a very noble person, and she knows all of the local people and the indigenous people.
Yeah.
And so she knew about this guy who had a little boat with an outboard motor, and he would take you at night into the mangroves where there were the bioluminescent.
Yes.
And I didn't know how it worked. And I went in there, and the way it works is if you move, they light up.
Yeah.
So if you take like a bucket, so we're in these mangroves. Now we had seen crocodiles earlier that day, we had seen crocodiles in this water. And so we just turn into children. It is unbelievable. It's like her cousins were scared to go in. She had like a younger cousin who, 19 or 20 years old. She was like, I don't know. And I was like, it's worth dying. It's worth dying.
It's worth dying.
It's fine. It's fine if you die like this. And I'm dumping buckets of water, and it's lighting up, and it's beautiful. And her mom's like, Chloe. And she's like, Mom, I have to be here right now. We get in the boat, we get our towels, we're driving back. Okay, so that's Magic Mexico, right?
Yeah.
And 40 minutes later, we're driving through this canal, and we're going really slowly. And it's clearly this flooded canal. And there's a little island, like almost a sandbar, but an island with like 500 or 1,000 white chairs and a big tent. And it's all illuminated. We're in a pitch black place, and it's all illuminated, this white tent on an island. And there's a wedding about to begin. And we look to the left of the flooded road that leads to the island that you can normally drive your pickup. And it's, oh my God, I'm going to cry. It's these beautiful old, Mexico, old pickup trucks, all of them parked on the side of the road. The road is flooded, like maybe knee deep. And the men are carrying the women through the water across the canal to this wedding.
Oh my God.
And that's within an hour. And that's 2 hours in Mexico. The whole country is that. The whole country is one of those. And if you go there with like an open heart and you don't like bring America to Mexico, you can be in that world and live in there. That is,
I can't imagine.
Chloe's life was one of those after another.
She seems to have lived a really exceptional, different.
Her parents are like, her dad is an industrialist and she's Canadian.
Yeah.
And he's an industrialist, and he went to this school when he was a little kid. Like the Canadian schools are modeled on the British schools. So he went to this boarding school, but it was like an adventure school. And they like taught them how to do like primitive camping in like 40 below zero Ontario with no light. And I think he hiked to the North Pole with like a spear and ate seals and stuff. Like that's something that he's done in his life.
Holy shit.
He has this Cessna little airplane that Chloe's sister was stuck in India and she couldn't get home for Christmas. And he said, I'll come get you in the Cessna. He's flying from Canada to India.
Wait, how the fuck do you do that?
He filled the whole fuselage with like fuel cells and stuff and like rigged up this system, and he made it. And he like barely, if you don't make the Azores when you're crossing the Atlantic, you run out of fuel and you crash.
Yeah.
And he like barely made it. And so Chloe has a bunch of cousins and she has brothers and sisters. And the dad, Scott, said, first one of you to get a pilot's license, I will give you my plane. And Chloe did it in Berlin.
Really?
She went and did the classes and did the thing and got her pilot's license. And
Holy
she can fly
shit.
a plane.
She's
going to get and the dad's going to give her that Cessna.
That fucking is, there's something about you that's inspirational. Let's go back to motorcycles. You were talking about the beauty
so the motorcycles are analogous to Mexico in that if you are disrespectful, it can kill you.
Yes.
And a motorcycle is, I think, I say this romantically, it might be true, but I just say it romantically. It's like motorcycling is the most dangerous thing. It's more dangerous, like statistically, I think. It's more dangerous than heroin or firearms or warfare or,
a surgery. It's
skateboarding or whatever. It's super fucking, such an incredibly high percentage of motorcyclists get maimed or killed. So you have to play those margins. Like there was once I rode from 3rd Avenue across Central Park to West End Avenue, which is like a mile, drunk. But that's it. I never, ever, ever rode drunk.
I rode
because half of all accidents occur with at least one beer.
That's what they say.
So you cut your odds in half if you never are drunk.
I've told this story before. I think most people I don't know whether or not, but I took the motorcycle classes. I rode motorcycles. We rode from Montana to Sturgis.
Fuck yes.
And it was for TV shows, so it's a little less sexy. My dad last night was like, "Buddy, why the fuck do you want a motorcycle?" And I said, "Let me tell you a story, Dad. I was in Crow Nation when we were hunting buffalo. We'd just gotten off a helicopter, and the sun was setting, and we were done shooting for the night. And I knew that I was going to drive to the hotel and get a drink. And so I got on my motorcycle. It was an Indian Judge, and not an Indian Judge. It was a victory. It was a Victory Judge, maybe."
Victory? I think that's like Bombardier. I think it's a Canadian company.
And so I said,
Polaris, maybe.
It is Polaris. No, okay. It is Polaris. And so I said, I got on my motorcycle. I put my headsets in. I was listening to Wilco, and I was taking off as the sun was setting, and we were driving through canyons. So you'd go in the canyon, it would get cold. You'd pop out, and you get warmed by the sun. It was a really cool feeling. And I go down, and as I pop out, and it's a plateau, and there are a pack of wild horses running with me. And I was running a motorcycle with a pack of wild horses.
Did you cry?
Listening to Wilco, cried my eyes out. And I said, you only get that experience. It's such a great way to sightsee, to take in information because it's all right there. The smells. I won't ever think of like one of the most beautiful rides I ever did was, oddly enough, was the Talladega National Forest in Alabama.
Okay.
It's crazy. You know, when you think of latitude, when you think of latitude, you go, so Serbia is like Portland, just so you know.
Okay.
And then if you go, and then ultimately, Alabama is a lot like places in Africa where I've been with my crew on safari. Latitudinally, it is.
Yeah.
And I go, that's interesting. And then when you go in the Talladega National Forest, you drive up to this thing and you go, oh, this is just like Africa. And you don't have to go to Africa. A lot of times I think if you want to travel the world, find out the latitude of it and then find that place in America, go there, put on an album, and you're there, oddly enough. And the same works for motorcycles.
Yeah.
But I was explaining that to my dad. I was like, motorcycles are, it's like unprotected sex. It's like with a stranger. It's like dangerous. It's fast. You're a little out of control. You're trying to make sure you're safe. And all the action's happening between your legs. I love.
Girls love motorcycles. Moms hate them.
I took my 2 daughters. We got a motorcycle. Travel Channel got me a motorcycle because we were getting ready to do motorcycle stuff. Fat Boy Low, Harley. And I had it. My wife made me get rid of it because I took my daughters on the back, very irresponsibly, bike helmets on, just down the street and turn around. Not very in my neighborhood, turn around.
Yeah.
But what I did is I torqued it just a little vroom, where you feel the energy.
Yeah.
You don't feel energy taking off that quickly on a lot of things. Yeah. But on a motorcycle, when you punch it, you feel it.
Torque.
Both my daughters, fingernails into my stomach. Daddy! And they loved it. I put my wife on the back. I give her a punch and she goes, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
She hated it. She goes, our 2 daughters are sitting in the front yard. Right now, we left them in the front yard with their bike helmets on.
Yeah.
I was just taking her down the street. We could see them where we were.
Right.
She goes, if something happens to us, those kids are sitting in the front yard and this is why we're getting rid of the motorcycle. We got rid of it. I think within a week I left to do the road and it was gone when I got back.
See, probably because I say this in my motorcycle video, there are motorcycle people and there are non-motorcycle people.
You're right.
You cannot convince. It's irresponsible. And luckily for me, Isabel is a motorcycle person, but she's the same. She's like, we don't ride 2 up. We don't ride 2 on the same motorcycle because we don't want to orphan this kid. But it's that thing. I think once you get to a certain level where you have to be really respectful, it enters into sanctity and ritual. You know, you have your gloves. I have my whole routine before I say a prayer.
You're right.
Have you ever seen Valentino Rossi?
No.
When he would get a new bike.
Who's Valentino Rossi?
Valentino Rossi is one of the 3 greatest MotoGP, which is the Formula One of motocross.
Yeah.
Of motorcycles. He's like I think he won the world MotoGP championship when he was like 17 or something. And I think he's won all the different classes, 500,000, whatever, superbike. He's like Michael Jordan of MotoGP, which those things they're so fast. You know, 200 plus miles an hour. But when he would get a new bike, he would like hold it like a woman, and he would like you wouldn't know what he's talking about. He would like whisper into his ears and like kiss it. It's like so, and it's like, yeah, that's right. That's what
there's
it is.
the ritual.
That thing. I remember judging a bike if I was going to buy a bike or not.
Yeah, because I'm interested. When we're talking about brands, you've always kind of ridden one style of bike. You like more of like the BMW.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I was listening to a podcast. I can't remember who it was. I don't know who you were talking to, but you were talking. It might have been Bill Bert. It might have been that. And you were talking, and you guys were out loud thinking about where you should go with what kind of motorcycle you should get. And I was just yelling at the thing. I was like, get the 9T, get the 9, because you were talking about getting one of those R BMWs that nobody likes because they're boxer cylinders and people think it's ugly. Yeah. But those things are the best bike. That was my first bike, was an R bike with the big boxers. Yeah. And they've styled them now so that they're beautiful. And they have that 9T, that NINE, the letter T. Yeah. It's like an R1300R or something like that. And the thing with BMW, it's a little frustrating, is that they are the best. I'm sorry, they're the best. And that's true. They're the best, but they're not the best looking. And to a lot of people, they don't think they're the best looking. Ducatis are very beautiful. Ducatis are the worst. And you can't do aftermarket stuff. Like they're like Apple. All of their stuff is from within their universe, more or less. There's no app. Like if you get a Honda, you can get all kinds of cool parts from made by this guy and made by this guy and made by this guy. But BMW is just the best. And the machines are the best. That engine I have, it's a Rotax engine. It's this Austrian engine. I beat the ever-living hell out of that bike for 14 years. I bought it brand new in 2007. That's the one. It's out there. Yeah. It's the one I brought down to Baja. I swapped the wheel. It was built to be either a supermoto, a enduro, or a scrambler. I bought the scrambler, and then I've had all three of the incarnations of it. So I have supermoto wheels on it right now.
That's not the bike up there.
No, it's like mine's like.
You're on Harleys right now.
The pictures won't do you. The one for you would be, it's called the 9T, NINE. Yeah, that's what it looks, bone stock. That's what it looks like. It's just like they're so powerful, and they're also as safe as you can get, because they have two rotors in the front, anti-lock brakes. Those stop. Pouring rain, they're going to stop you. And they're super, super, super fast. That's what the cops in LA ride. Okay. I mean, they ride the cop with all the cop stuff on it, but you just yank that throttle, super torquey, and they'll just pull you out. Like those, I rented a Rocket, like an R6, like the race. Yeah. I rented one of those in Hawaii with Casey, and I judge a bike and I can tell right away. And it's like your lizard brain. I remember the first time I got on one of those, and I said, I won't die on this bike. And the first time I got on that R6, brain,
I love that. Yeah.
I got on the R6 and I said, this bike will kill me. And I remember Casey and I are a very bad combination on bikes.
Really?
I'll tell you a couple stories, but we were in Hawaii, and they're super aerodynamic, those Rockets. Yeah. And Hawaii, it's a circle, so you don't get any straights. So we got to one straight, and the whole time I'm used to a torquey bike. Like you said, the Harley, you twist the thing and it pulls you. Those Rocket bikes aren't like that. They're revvy bikes. The needle will go all the way to 12,000 RPM. You have so much power, but the power doesn't kick in until about 8,000 or 9,000 RPM. That's when it starts to pull you. So you got to rev the shit out of them. So I was riding it around Honolulu. I was like, I don't see what the big deal is with these things. They're not fast. It's not as fast as my BMW. And then we got to a straightaway and I revved it, and it just was like an explosion. And you stay up in the night and you're shifting and you're up in the nines, you're third, fourth, fifth, sixth. And I look down and it's like 136 miles an hour. And then I go to stop. The front tire is as wide as 3 fingers. It's a tiny little front tire, and it's super aerodynamic. So I'm hitting the brakes and it's like slows down so gradually. And I was like, I'll never own one of these.
Yeah, I could.
Track only. That's it. They're for the track.
I would love to ride those on a track. I would
Yes,
love.
me
I
too.
took a bike in on the Big Island up to volcanoes.
Oh man.
And it was fucking surreal.
I love how much you love Hawaii.
I love Hawaii. I love Hawaii because it's so set up for you to have the best time of your life.
Oh yeah.
Their business is based on you coming back. And so they never want to leave you high and dry. They always want you to go, oh, that was fucking amazing. I'm coming back with my family next year. I love that. There's something I love having traveled. I've traveled the world now probably 4 times. I've been in a lot of places.
Yeah.
And I just loved, I consistently love how Hawaii, that aloha spirit, that like welcome, but you gotta leave. Make sure to leave, but come back. And we'll say hello, but please don't live here. But okay. Yeah. And I love the ocean. I'm obsessed with the ocean. I think the ocean is a lot of times where I draw a lot of my power. But let's pivot. I'm gonna get a motorcycle.
Leanne and your daughters are gonna be so pissed at me, but like. And they have all these different iterations of that engine and drivetrain. See, there's no chain. It's got a drive shaft. They have all these different iterations of this bike. They make like one that looks like a cafe racer. They make one that's like, this is like a Street Fighter version. And I would just go to the dealership or go online and just look at them. But really, I'm telling you that they're the best. They're the best, but they're not the sexiest.
So let's go back to brands.
Look at that thing on the right. Look at how beautiful that one is. That's like a stock one. Like you can go to the dealer and get that thing.
Let's talk about brands because BMW seems to be your thing.
BMW.
And I love that you have a pencil that you ride or die with.
Pentel P209. I was gonna bring one with your name, but I
no.
That'll happen.
By the way, we're gonna have to do more of these. I have a fucking conference call that starts at 5. Okay. I gotta have you back. Okay. I gotta have you back because there's too much. I think everyone knows this, but I'll reiterate it. One of my favorite things about my personality is I can become obsessed with things. I love being obsessed with things. I loved the video you just posted about backing out of your driveway because I was obsessed with it. I was like, oh, I want to see how his brain's going to figure this out. Because I'm doing my math.
Was your brain trying to figure it out when you were watching? Because that's what I wanted.
So
the
street I used to live on was one way, but people would cheat it because once you got through the one way, it was a two-way street. But people would always fly up the street, and it made me crazy. It made me absolutely crazy. And my cheat was I put I had to find a cheat code because it was making me crazy. And I went to therapy about it. And the therapist was like, can you change it? And I said, yes. And he said, no, you can't. I went, no, I actually can. That's how I operate. I'm going to change it. And he was like, I don't think you can. And I go, I totally can. And he was like, well, no, I think what you should do is let it go. I go, I can't let it go. It's going to endanger my family. I can't let it go. I'll change it. My cheat code was I ended up buying like 36 of them, but I bought traffic cones. Yeah. And I put traffic cones in the middle of the street. Just put them in the middle of our street. Yeah. Just in this dead center. You get by each side. But what happened was people would see the traffic cones and they'd go, oh shit, there's something going on here. And they'd turn around and they wouldn't go on the one-way street. Yeah. And can I tell you, before I celebrate your genius of what you did, what I looked into buying an old cop car to park in front of my house and just leave there.
That's what I was going to do.
Because it's the best protection you'll ever have because people won't break into your house. A cop lives here. By the way, it's all they need to see is the black and white and they turn. Mm-hmm. And you fixed it by putting fucking lights on top of your truck so that you could catch their attention. But more importantly, people see lights and then they're like, whoa, cop. Oh, that's not a cop. God damn it. But
that's lizard brain too.
That's lizard
brain.
Cop
is lizard brain. I will slow down on the highway before I see the cop. And I listened to like everything that Jordan Peterson put on the internet, like hundreds of hours of shit.
Yes.
And one of the things he talks about is if your DNA comes from a place where there were snakes, then you can perceive a snake before you see it.
That's so funny. I just wrote a joke. I swear to God, I just wrote a joke about Hawaiians. And I go, all I need to know about them is they don't have snakes when they grew up. Because that's that energy of like, hey, everything's chill, brah. You're like, yeah, you never had snakes.
You don't have snakes.
Yeah, you don't have snakes. You've never had snakes. Like, granted, you guys have sharks, but fucking snakes climb. Like
sharks are voluntary. You don't have to go in the water.
You've got to pursue a shark.
Yeah.
So, I wonder if I heard Jordan Peterson say that, and I was like, oh, and then I forgot it, and then morphed it into a joke. But, so you were saying
lizard brain. So cops are lizard brain. I mean, I've been a lifelong speeder.
Yeah.
And so for me, my lizard brain will perceive a cop. And my brother Dean said, just get the lights. Just get the lights and put them on the thing. But what I came up with just like what made the project really fun was the remote switch. It was a radio RF remote that is bomb proof. And this is what going back to brands.
Yeah.
I want things that will do one thing. And is just a remote, and you push a button, it says on, it's just a switch. It turns whatever on, and then off. And it turns whatever it is off. It doesn't have like touch screen connected to it also, it can also be a key. It can also, no.
Your passion rang through when you pulled that remote out.
Yeah.
You go, it's heavy. And it's got one thing. And I went, fuck, man, that is exactly how my brain works. It does one thing.
Yes.
I've not been a fan of cars since they have the little fob, and I don't get a key. I miss a key because
that's my cutoff. I don't buy them if you can't go to a hardware store and get the key replicated. That's my cutoff. I got an 02 Tacoma and an 87 Land Cruiser, and I just figured out last week. I'm like, why? What's your cutoff, man? Why the hell are you? And then I had to get a laser cut key for Isabel's new Husqvarna Swedish motorcycle. And I was like, that's why.
Yeah.
Because I can't just go do it. I have to have it done in Germany.
Dude, you can't get another key. We lost one of our keys for one of our cars.
Yeah.
I couldn't get another key. They're like, just so you know, COVID's got everything backed up. It's going to be about 8 months. And I went, so you're telling me this one fob I have left is my lifeline to using this vehicle? I don't have 2 keys anymore.
And you can't hotwire it either.
You can't do anything with it. And I went, okay, hold on. I can't let you have me by the balls like that.
Yeah.
And luckily we found the other key. And so now we have 2 keys, but that fobs really bother me. And it's because my daughter's called me and she's on our older car. And she goes, hey, the fob's dead. And I go, what? She goes, it's dead. Like, I don't know how to get the car. I can't get into it. And I'm like it panics me. But when you're
the phrase, the spirited man from that book comes from a person who has the reaction to that you and I have to it.
Yeah.
That's where it was born. That's in the context of cars that are computer controlled.
This podcast is brought to you by Helix. Thank you, Helix, for making my wife look amazing yesterday. Leanne has been running ragged. She's not getting any rest. She's up at the crack of dawn. And yesterday, she opted out of sleeping in bed with me and went into our guest room where we have just put a brand new Helix mattress. Leanne slept like a fucking dream. Didn't have to deal with my snoring. And she woke up and I kept saying, you look fucking amazing. You look beautiful. What happened? She said, it's that sleep. I got a good night's sleep. And it's that Helix fucking mattress. I'll tell you what's great is we took it's a 2-minute quiz to match her body type because that's who's going to be sleeping in that room most often because I snore. And it was made everything perfect. If you're looking for a mattress, this is what you do. Take the quiz, you order the mattress that you're matched to, and the mattress comes right to your door. Came right to our door, all wrapped up. It was in a box, brought it in, pulled it out of the box, cut the thing, put it on the bed. Literally, I mean, it was put together in a matter of minutes, and literally in a matter of minutes. Helix is awesome. You don't need to take my word for it. They were awarded the #1 best mattress overall pick of 2020 by GQ and Wired magazine. Helix has been recommended by multiple leading chiropractors and doctors of sleep medicine as the go-to solution for improving your sleep. If I had just taken a picture of my wife's face, there were no wrinkles in it, no lines in it. I mean, she looked fucking awesome. And she kept going, I just got a great night's sleep in there. I was like, maybe you should sleep in there more often. Well, fuck in my bed, you sleep in your bed. They have a 10-year warranty. So if you try it out for 100 nights, so you can try it out for 100 nights risk-free, all you got to do is go to helixsleep.com/Bert, take their 2-minute sleep quiz, and they'll match you with a customized mattress that will give you the best sleep of your life. And like I said, they have a 10-year warranty, and you can try it out for 100 nights risk-free. They'll even pick it up if you don't love it, but you're going to love it. Helix has financing options and flexible payment plans, so a great night's sleep is not far away at all. Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows to our listeners at helixsleep.com/Bert. That's helixsleep.com/Bert for $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows. Go to helixsleep.com/Bert. This podcast is brought to you by American veteran-owned and operated company Grunt Style. When you get a podcast sponsor, they send you a grab bag, and I went on and I bought my own. I think they're called Grunt panties. They're fucking badass. They are badass, and I haven't got them yet. And when I get them, I'm gonna post tons of pictures. I love that they literally have more than 200 veterans on staff. And they've taken the American fighting spirit and instilled it in everything they do. They make high quality clothes. And like I said, I went through their whole site, and their outerwear is fucking top notch. And with guys that came through the military like this, you know for a fact that the attention to detail they put into something is the thing. No one wants their shit breaking down out on when you're in the military. You want your shit to work. And so that's the kind of attention to detail they put into this. And so I kind of trust outerwear that comes from Grunt Style. Grunt Style has humble beginnings, starting off as a t-shirt company out of the back of their founder's truck or car. And they've since grown to employing almost 400 Americans, producing apparel for workout, everyday wear, fishing, hunting, and more. Their fishing and hunting shit's dope. Grunt Style club members get free shipping and special discounts and contests, exclusive tees each month. The Grunt Style Foundation partners with the organization that provides mental health support, PTSD, depression, anxiety, combat stress, and transition to civilian life. I've had many friends in the military, family in the military, and that transition into civilian life is very important. And PTSD creeps up on everyone, even guys who ride roller coasters. Grunt Style Foundation is an active in programs to help with food insecurities and homelessness for veterans and their families. Get an additional 10% off your first order. Go to their website, peruse their website. You're going to find some shit you love. By the way, that's not the read. Get an additional 10% off your first order at gruntstyle.com/Bert. That's gruntstyle.com/Bert for an additional 10% off your first order of any items. gruntstyle.com/Bert. I'm dying to talk. Got to talk to you about brands because there are certain things I ride or die by, which I go, and I don't know if I'm a little obsessive compulsive about things, but not like in the textbook way where I'm counting bricks and stuff. But there's certain things where I go, I find the thing I like, and that's the thing I wear. So like, for instance, this shirt, I have, whatever shirt I find of this is James Purse. Okay. I was on a photo shoot. I put on a shirt. I went, this is really comfortable. Mm-hmm. Leanne said, that looks good on you. And I went, all right, that's my shirt now. And so I only wear that t-shirt. I have others like Homage. I'm a fan of Homage because I think they make cool shirts. I'm a fan of like a few other brands like what's the brand that does all the Fighter and the Kid stuff? They just did a big fight Roots of Fight. I like Roots of Fight. I only wear Roots of Fight sweatshirts. I find the things that I like and I get into it. Jeans, I only wear Lucky jeans because they're stretchy and they're comfortable. Okay. And sweatpants, I only wear Nike sweatpants. They fit for them. I also will buy, because my daughters bought me, the really nice ones that are out of Venice. I forget what they're called, but they're really comfy. Yeah. I mostly sleep in them. Okay. But brands I get really married to. Yeah. Nike SBs, Nike Air Force Ones. These are things, flip-flops.
Nike's best-selling product, by the way. Did you know that?
Air Force Ones?
Yes.
They're the most comfortable shoes I've ever worn on my foot in my entire life. Yeah.
They're American classic.
As far as boots, I have a type of boot. I forget the name of it. It looks like that, but with green laces. Okay. Tig wears them. And so, but I'm like, I get very specific. Gloves for motorcycle gloves. I am oh shit, I'm forgetting the name right now. They're the best. They're my favorite. Someone turned me onto them and I fell in love with them.
Not Aero Stitch.
No. See, I'm a little bit of a label whore too. Yeah. So like I like Moda Stucca. Type in Moda Stucca. Moda Stucca gloves are the fucking sexiest motorcycle gloves I've ever first time I saw them, I said, I want a pair of Motostucca gloves.
Oh, those are beautiful.
Handcrafted. Go to find Motostucca. Go to the maroon pair right there in the middle. I think that's
goat skin is the best.
They have some of the sexiest gloves, and I bought 2 pairs. I bought a oxblood and a tan one, and they're really great, awesome really motorcycle gloves. But I love a good brand, and I love falling in love with a brand, and that's what I think I loved about you is like, you know, when you did the video of you making that there was the attention to detail is amazing, but you know, this is the best. This is a sledgehammer you want.
Yeah.
And so let's go through some brands that you go, they're doing it right.
Okay. So Victorinox, the Swiss Army knife.
Yes.
Okay. There's a big split. There's the Leatherman. Like the people I respect the most carry Leatherman, but no, this thing, because it's also this Swiss Army knife, because it's also elegant.
Yeah.
It's smooth. It's plastic. You can engrave your name into it. It's
which
perfect.
you do on everything. You do additions to anything you love. You engrave your name in it, usually the date you got it.
Tom Sachs taught me that. The
Really?
artist Tom Sachs. Yeah. A lot of our world, like Casey and my world, we were apprentices to this. He's a master. He is a master bricoleur, and bricolage is like, you know, like prisoners make tattoo guns.
Yeah.
That's a bricolage tattoo gun. But this guy, Tom Sachs, he makes $1 million pieces that are that.
Tom Sachs, so I can see that.
SACHS. Type in mandala, like the Buddhist word. Okay, now look. Okay, click on the blue one, please. Okay, all right. So I worked on this piece. I was a fabricator for Sachs. Those are all the major calibers of gun, handmade out of stolen police barricades. All of those guns are functional guns and can be test fired. Working in his studio, he had a whole protocol about letting in any kind of authority, because in New York City, Lil Wayne can't get out of gun possession. Lil Wayne, you mandatory have to go to prison.
Oh, yeah.
If you get caught with a gun. And so that's like a smaller one, but that blue one, I think sold for $1 million. And anyway, he taught us this guy who makes this stuff taught Casey and me how to make stuff. And taught us his code for making stuff. And his code isn't the like contractors union code. It's like his own special thing that he's developed. And so I could, like, if times got really bad, I could just, make counterfeit Tom Sachs.
Oh my God.
And sell it. But you know, that's a Mies van der Rohe chair made out of paper, made out of foam core. That chair is made out of foam core and steel, but like handmade.
So when you get a Victorinox and you see it,
and
immediately,
Sachs is a Leatherman guy. Sorry, keep going.
Just so funny. That was my one hobby I did.
Yeah.
Do you see the upgrades immediately? Like it's going to need like a little something to hold on to it. I need to engrave my name and the date I got it. Like
I can tell you. Yes, absolutely. Okay. So first you need a little lanyard like this.
Yeah.
I call it the Old Glory. It's called, what's it called? It's a special kind of ribbon, gross grain ribbon. I think this is like 3/4 inch or 7/8 inch or something like that. So this is a lanyard in case you are like on a boat.
Yeah.
And it's like life or death if you drop the damn thing, or you're out in the middle of wherever and it's like life or death, you're high up.
Yeah.
You need this. And also you can yank it out of your pocket.
And what I love is I already know that the ends are burned so it doesn't fray.
That's right. Yep. And then there's a little slot right here for a pin that fits in there. I replace it with a needle, because you can use a needle as a pin, but you can't use a pin as a needle if you're in a jam and you need to sew something. What else? This one is a bummer. This is a bummer. I lose these like everybody else loses them, these Swiss Army knives. The reason I get this Swiss Champ is because it has pliers. I broke mine.
Oh, wow.
But you don't really need to do that many hop ups to this. It's pretty much perfect. I write my name on it.
I got my daughters each Swiss Army knives in Switzerland.
Yeah.
And I had their names engraved.
That's the only place you can do it.
And they still have them and they love them. And I remember now when we're talking, because I'm a big knife guy, another knife I love, and I was taught this by film dudes with Spyderco.
Yeah.
Spyderco
is a Spyderco guy. He had like a contract. He did like an edition with them.
For
NASA,
real?
All white and then hand engraved like this, NASA.
Type in, I got to see his Spyderco.
SACHS Spyderco. Yeah, there you go.
See, guys like this guy Sachs.
There it is.
Oh, let me see.
Bro, there you go. And that's his editions. You see how I've stolen his aesthetic.
No, it's great. I love that. I love that. And you guys also do that with putting stuff away. You'll label. You're really good at your organization.
Yeah.
Is fucking.
That I think comes from living in New York, from working with Sachs and living in New York City. Because in New York City, like you gotta be organized. You have no space, and the space you have is every penny you can manage to scrape together.
Yeah.
And you can only have, it's like camping, living in New York. You can only have the perfect few, so I had this apartment that I inherited from Casey, who inherited from my ex-girlfriend's cousin who left New York after 9/11. He got scared.
Yeah.
And so my brother got this apartment, and then we bribed the building manager with cigarettes and $100, and I got it. And it's still $400 a month.
Really?
It's on the Upper West Side, 144 square feet. There's a bathroom in the hall. It's 12 by 12. Bert.
Yeah.
And it is it could be in a museum. It's so good.
Okay.
It's me for 20 years. Every fucking square millimeter getting it perfect. And there's just a wall, an ephemeral wall of just little, my little like diving pass from Bonaire, or like a ticket from Split, Croatia, or like there's stuff from Chloe. There's like when they remember the gates in Central Park, those orange gates, there were people handing out little square samples of the actual fabric. There's one of those like tacked to the wall. So there's this wall of beautiful stuff. And then it's like journals. I haven't paid rent since November 2019. I haven't paid rent, but it's only like $5,000 that I owe them. But there's a moratorium on rent, so I'm just like taking advantage.
What are you gonna do? Yeah, what are you gonna do? So, what are the brands? What about clothing? What about
so Carhartt, the double knee ones that come not washed, not broken in. You have to cut I have to cut the hammer loop off because it'll get caught on stuff.
Yeah,
it'll get caught on my motorcycle. It'll get caught, so I cut the hammer loop off. Other than that, they're perfect. And the 3230s, I think. I write down the date on the pocket on the inside, and I write down the size. I think they're 3230s. So they might be 3130s.
You write down the date.
I have a body that they fit perfectly after you wash them.
Yeah.
And I'm just very, very lucky that way. So I wear them until they start getting holes. Then I throw them away. I don't repair them because it's too much work. These boots these are Swiss military boots from the 70s. I bought like 5 pairs of these. I gave 2 pairs away, and I've had these since 2006. And they've had so many soles, Vibram soles. Oh,
when I learned that you could get a shoe resoled, it was a game changer.
Oh yeah.
I had these great Fry boots. They were not conductor boots. They were engineer boots.
Yes.
Type in Fry engineer boots, and they were awesome. And I wore them so much, and then I remember telling Leanne, like, well, shit, these fucking boots. Yeah, they were fucking awesome.
Scott Myers wears. My buddy, the guy from the Baja movies, he wears those.
I still have a pair. I ended up losing this pair. I lost luggage one time. I'm a big, I found a.
Okay, I'm not rich enough to have the right. I know it's Kimoa or whatever.
Rimowa is what? Hold on. Now let's be. So I found a set of luggage. I still have the thing. They stopped making this luggage. It was Kirkland, the kind out of Costco. And my wife got it for me. And I'm a little bit of a label whore. And when I got it, I went, it's Kirkland. And she goes, yeah, it's actually really good luggage.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but it's the Costco luggage. Like I'm on Travel Channel. I should have nice luggage. And she goes, honey, it's good luggage. I got 2 bags. These 2 bags traveled around the world, and I started putting stickers on them anywhere I go.
I love that.
I still have these bags. I won't let her throw them out because the memories I have with these bags, I love them. Then I got a Rimowa bag, and I'm not shit on Rimowa. It's what I use now. But the first Rimowa bag I bought, it was like, I want to say it was like, I'm sure I'm making this number up. I want to say it was like $1,300. It was so expensive. It rolls like butter. I mean, the wheels on it are fucking through the roof.
Yeah.
And my other ones, they didn't have the great wheels like this.
Yes.
But the first day, it got stolen because anyone who knows anything about luggage goes, all right, if
that's a rich person, it's got Chanel sunglasses in it.
It's going to have rich people shit in it, and it got stolen. And so I was like, I'm done with Rimowa. I ended up getting a present Rimowa present. And what I did is I ripped the fucking Rimowa thing off and I covered it in stickers. I gave my daughter's paint pens and I said, destroy it.
Yeah.
Color all over it. Make it look like shit. And so they did, and it's never been fucked with.
Which brings us to Toyota. Okay, Toyota. My first car was a Toyota. And this Land Cruiser that I have now, it's Isabel and my Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
She bought it. I paid for the maintenance. But I'm about to put $30,000 into it. I'm replacing the engine. I'm buying a brand new Cummins 2.8 turbo diesel engine in it. And I want the sleeper truck that I can drive, because the dream, the project that I'm working on right now, that like my channel, you'll see this start to unfold now. I've already started the plot for this, but I'm building this truck so that we can do these big overland trips down to Mexico. Cause I really want my son to have a relationship with Mexico. And I want him to have a relationship with people from points of view that aren't like American. Yeah. Because America is this weirdly, there's just so many resources here, and you lose something when you gain convenience, right? There's just almost too much convenience here.
You're right.
And so when you go to Mexico, it's
a very brilliant statement.
They have their there's just such a beauty of it. And I want him to see that. And I want him to see poor places. And I want him to not feel fear because he's in a poor place. Because I used to feel that. Because I grew up in southeastern Connecticut, which was like, I grew up in the poorest district in Connecticut, but it's still Connecticut. And I used to, when I went and visited my friend at Seton Hall and I got lost, I was on my way to East Orange, New Jersey, and I got lost in one of those like very urban centers. I hadn't lived in New York yet. I remember feeling scared. And that's fucking racist.
It is. And you can't help it. So, and all of a sudden you're going, so wait, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
That's happened to me.
And you see like garbage in the street, and you see weird, scary things and graffiti and chaos, and you click into fear, and it's like, no, that's not fair. That's not right. There have nothing to fear. Yeah. It's just your point of view is so rare for a human being on planet Earth in 2021 that your physical body is accustomed to a certain degree of ease. Anyway, I want to pull that. I don't want my son to get that kind of complacency.
Well, no,
so Mexico, he'll experience the magic and the, I guess like lack of resources, but that's like
you say so much stuff that I find brilliant that I'm trying to remember it. Lack of convenience, whatever you said about lack of convenience creates whatever it is. I forget what you just said, but it's so funny. What? Yeah, it is. When we were in Serbia, we didn't have anything in our house, and so we would have to go and get, if we wanted to get coffee, we had to go up the street, or if we wanted to go to the store, we'd have to go to the store. And the store wasn't like they were in America. It was like it was like if you wanted the way vegetables worked in Serbia is you had to take them, you had to weigh them, you had to get the price tag, you had to enter it in the computer, get the price tag, and then all of a sudden I was like, well, I'm not going to fuck with vegetables. But then one day I wanted avocados, and I was like, I really want avocados. Yeah. So I went up and I ended up having a great adventure to get 2 avocados. Yeah. And it's like, what was fascinating about this adventure is that I bought 2 avocados. Never in a million years in America have I ever bought 2 avocados. I put 6 in a bag. I don't even worry about it. But I knew that I could find avocado, and if it didn't get too complicated, that I could get my 2 avocados. Yeah. And it was a side of my personality that I haven't seen in a long time, where it was like, oh, I forgot. Like I backpacked through Europe. I've traveled the world. I've done this stuff. But all of a sudden you get so complacent, not doing shit for yourself. It's a brilliant statement. And a sidebar, I've often thought with the few videos you've shared with your son, but the kind of guy you are, your son's going to be so lucky to have a dad that goes, no, let's figure it out together. Yeah. I was like just the fucking idea that the sunroof you had in your thing, that you were like, hold on, this should work. And then I'm watching you going, oh, this is a kid, unlike my daughter, where I go, well, just Google it and then pay for it to be delivered to the house. Yeah. Like your son's going to get a dad who goes, no. Your bike tire's flat? Let's fix it together. We're not going to take it to a bike shop. I'm going to show you how to fix it flat. Such a cool, lucky dad, lucky kid that he gets you as a dad.
I want to be rich like everybody else, but I don't want my kid to know we're rich. I heard Peter Fonda. Yeah. Talking about, because I live in Topanga Canyon, and he went to like boarding school in Topanga Canyon. He talked about his dad was Henry Fonda.
Yeah.
Was like a multiple Academy Award winning, super famous back when movie stars were like kings guy. And he's like, I thought my dad was a gardener because all I saw him do was just work in the garden at the house. I didn't know he was this big movie star. And like to a certain, you can trick the kids at a certain degree. Like
my daughters were under the impression that we did not have money and that I didn't have a job for a very long time. And I said,
how old were they?
Older than I was comfortable with.
Yeah.
I want to say like 5th grade, 6th grade, 4th grade.
My dad doesn't have it.
And they said, yeah, you should get it. They literally said, you should get a job. And I went, I have a job. And they go, what's your job? And I said, I work on Travel Channel. I'm a comedian. And they go, no, Dad, traveling around the country and partying is not a job. And I went, hold on. Who do you think makes the money? And they're like, Mom does. I go, and my wife didn't have a job. And I went, wait, how does Mom make money? And they go, she by paying the bills and, being on her computer. That's how she pays for things. And I was like, hold on. You guys know I get paid by Travel Channel. And they're like, you get paid to ride roller coasters. And I was like, that's my old show. Like I get paid to go. They're like, Dad, you don't get paid for this stuff. And I was like, it was mind blowing to me. It wasn't until I signed a deal. I remember I signed a deal, like a legit deal. And by the way, this is fucking recent. And I explained to my daughters, hey, just so you know, we just signed it. Me and my wife sat them down. We said we signed this deal for ... And so it was like a nice moment where like we don't really have to worry about money this year at all. Yeah. Or like next year, we're like for the next 2 years, we're pretty solid and we can now buy a new house. And this was a while ago. And they were, because we looked for a house forever.
I followed this. I mean, I remember this. I remember you talking about, saying the thing about how do you think where do you think the money for those braces in your mouth come from?
And they were like,
I would get so irate, Bert, hearing this. I would get so mad. I'm like, you have no idea what that man, like yelling, no, that man went through. It's not like you just get up there and you're naturally good at it.
They just said, they go, who are you podcasting with? And I said, this guy I'm really obsessed with. And they go, what's he doing? I kind of showed him your page. I said, it's really awesome. And then I said to them, you guys should get a podcast. I said, just so you know, if you guys want to do a podcast, I'll set it up and we can do it. And they're like, why would we want a podcast? And I go, I think it would be interesting if you had a podcast. We could probably get it monetized pretty quickly. We could get your views up. I'm sure people will watch it. But more importantly, I go, it'd be fascinating to go into college making money. And they're like, making money from what? And I go, from a podcast. And they're like, you make money from a podcast? And I was like, are you being serious? And they're like, Mom doesn't make money from her podcast. I go, yeah, Mom's podcast is bullshit. I'm legit, I've been in this game 9 fucking years. And they're like, I didn't know you made money from it. I was like, you thought I just go party with, and they're like, yeah, that's because, we do like this, we do a live stream for New Year's Eve and I just get blackout drunk, come home and they're like, oh, great. Yeah. Dad was working.
What are they what's their interest? Have you figured it out?
Georgia's a really great writer and a really great artist in the sense that,
let me rephrase the question. What interest do they have that they can generate an income from? Because they ain't making money making art and they ain't making, I don't care how good of a fucking writer they are. If they are a standalone writer and they're like, I write for a living, they are not making a living.
I told them they should be, I told Isla, we were at a,
you're a good writer. I'm a good writer, but we got all this other bullshit we got to do to sell the damn words on the paper.
I said to both of them, I go, someone's got to try stand up because you guys are too funny not to try stand up once. George was like, I'm never doing it. And Isla goes, I'm never doing it. We were camping. Yeah. This is the way their brains work. We were camping. Yeah. There's a fire. It's 10 o'clock at night, which is late for camping, right? I've had a couple cocktails and we hear a gunshot. In the middle of the night.
Where are you?
Georgia.
Okay.
And we're like, everyone looks at each other like, holy shit, it was a gunshot. And then we hear another gunshot. Yeah. And Isla does not miss a beat and goes, well, we know it's not a suicide. And
that's amazing.
And I was like, what? Like your brain just, I'm going to tell it on stage. I'll tell it. I'm going to make money telling that idea. Yeah. Why don't you just fucking cut out the middleman? Like you just do your stuff.
Give her $50.
Yeah. Georgia is interesting. I don't know. I think she's going to end up on the business side of the entertainment business. I think she'll be an executive somewhere.
Like your wife.
Yeah, like Georgia's very. She respects someone that has a job. Okay. Like she doesn't. I don't think she really gets me or like Segura or Burr.
Yeah.
Like I think the first time she met Bill Burr, she was like, I said he's a comic, and she goes, who would pay to see him? And I was like, a lot of people,
millions of people.
She goes, for real? Like what?
There
like,
aren't enough tickets.
Yeah, and I was like, and they were like, is he funny? And they said the same thing about Tom. They're like, so Tom's funny, and I go, he's hilarious, and they're like, I don't see it. And I go, hold on.
But isn't Tom like an uncle to them? Haven't they known him for 10 years?
Oh, they've known him his whole life, but he's not. Like if you meet me, you go, oh, I get it. He's a comic. He's loud as fuck. You can't stop talking. He ripped his shirt off. He's in a Speedo. Yeah. Okay, I get it. You're a comic.
Right.
Tom and Bill are just regular human beings when they meet you. And they're not trying to be funny. They're just being themselves.
Yeah.
So my daughters are like, well, we get that you're a comic because you're shirtless, loud, in a Speedo, drinking beers. But these two guys that just walked in and said, hey, girls, how you doing?
Yeah.
It's good to see you.
They're
hey,
decent
Leanne.
human
they're decent human beings. Joey Diaz, they're like, oh, we get that he's a comic.
I was just going to say, what about Joey Diaz?
Uncle Joey's a comic. We get that Uncle Joey's a comic.
Yeah.
They're like, he slipped Papa marijuana. Uncle Joey's definitely a comic. Ari, sadly, they absolutely loved Ari. They both loved
Why sadly?
Ari. Because they hate him now. Like they hate his guts.
Because of the Lakers thing?
No, because of no, he drugged me in my backyard. Yeah.
Oh God, I was really upset about.
Yeah, they were really, and it bummed. That's the only thing. That's the only. I think the only L Ariel has a hard time accepting is Isla. Genuinely, like had a crush on Ari. She thought. Like I walked in one time and they're talking about deodorant and how they apply deodorant, and I went, the two of them by themselves at the kitchen table, and they're like, I was like, no, you cover it, right? And Ari's like, yeah, you cover it from like here to here. And she goes, yeah, it all smells. I mean, they're talking, and I go, what the fuck are you guys talking about? And they're like, deodorant. And I was like, Dad, Ari agrees. You put on deodorant wrong. And I go, no, you just put a little bit. And she's like, no. And the two of them, and Ari would come over. He'd get off the road and he'd come over to my house. He'd do laundry. And we'd go for a hike. He'd come back. We'd hang out. We'd do a podcast, have some drinks. He'd come back. Like everyone, Leanne had issues with Ari for always, but the girls loved Ari.
Yeah.
And then after that drugging, Georgia hates him. And Isla just went, it can't be him. He's too good of a guy. I went,
nobody's perfect. We're all human beings.
Nobody's
man.
perfect. But I remember I got a text from him. I was sitting at the table. I get a text and I go, oh. And I quick to reply, and Georgia takes my phone. She goes, don't talk to him. I went, what? She goes, Dad, let me ask you a question. If I had a friend who drugged me and possibly put my life in danger, and I was texting with them, would you let me? And I went,
oh, but you're a child. So
I go, yeah. But I go, it's hard to explain, baby. I go, he didn't mean to kill me. Like, and she goes, you could have. And I was like, whatever. It's
because you were on your blood pressure medicine. I mean, I remember this. Like these. Think about these podcasts. They're so deep.
Shocked that you have listened to anything I've done because I fucking have binged everything you've done.
I was talking to Isabel on the way over here. I'm like, I feel like kind of a psycho because when I'm on my run listening to you guys,
I love that I love the video you did about running. I love that you did your video about running because I don't enjoy running. Like, and I go, I do it, but you were talking about the way you do it, your ritual of doing it, and it was just all of it made so much fucking sense. By the way, we've got to wrap this up. I have a fucking conference call that starts in 13 minutes. I haven't gotten to talk to you about the fucking 80-year loop thing.
Oh my God. That's my most successful video. And it's not even my idea. It's just a book review.
I know, but do you realize all I'm seeing is that 80-year loop now?
My whole world view is through that filter. And that guy is still, you can YouTube that video. The guy who wrote that book, you can YouTube him like in 2017. And he's talking about like, he's like, the thing I'm worried about now is that there will be no crisis. He said, with these crises, they're like a fire that comes through and fixes burns all the shit. And then you got to reinvent stuff. Can you
explain that real quick?
Okay.
Just surmise it for anyone. And then I'm going to have to do another podcast.
So there's this book that came out in 1997. It was written in 1996. It's called The Fourth Turning. And it is about how history repeats itself. And history repeats itself in 80-year blocks, roughly 80 years, about the duration of a human lifetime. So within these 80 years, you have 20 or so year turnings. So the first turning is a high, which is 20 years. The second turning, that's just
that's them putting rocks down.
The second turning is a an awakening, and that's 20 years. The third turning is an unraveling, and that's 20 years. The fourth turning is a crisis. So right now, we are in a fourth turning. Okay, so start with the beginning of America. The first American fourth turning was seven. It's seven. I got the numbers so that it works up. 1780, signing of the Constitution and the American Civil War. 1780. 80 years later, what happened? Civil War.
No, is that 19?
Civil War. 80 years later. 80 years later, what happened?
That's
World War II.
World War II.
80 years later, what happened? COVID.
Oh my God.
But we haven't even gotten to the crisis yet. We're still in we're in the Depression. So the Depression is the catalyst that leads to World War II historically.
Yeah.
And so we are like, COVID is this, like, we're going to start changing things right now, but some fucking major crisis is happening. We don't know what it is.
China.
It's been total war for the last 3. And I pray like every day that it's not some total war.
I hope so.
Because I don't want total war. I don't want it. And I think maybe it can just be, maybe it manifests in some kind of like information. The internet gets wiped out. I can live with that, and we have to reassess how we do everything.
Oh, by the way, let's
you wouldn't love it. That's how we make our living.
Oh yeah. What am I talking about? Oh yeah, I need the internet. Oh fuck, I need the internet. Oh my God, I was just thinking of Twitter.
Yeah. No.
God damn it.
But it's basically civilization shifting. You know what happened? What we got after the Great Depression? We got an electrified nation. Literally, we got electricity ubiquitous in America. That's what they did with their like bailout.
God.
And the guy who wrote the book said, what is probably going to happen now is we're going to, with the newest technology, we haven't, since the Depression, since all those projects, we haven't built really anything. The Empire State Building is 100 years old. It's from the 1930 or something.
Yeah.
And he said, America is going to start building stuff again, like China is building stuff. But
China's
anyway,
building
this
stuff
book
in Serbia.
This book explains how this.
It's your most successful video, but
this history thing works.
It was the one where I was like, I got to get him on the podcast. Like, because I texted I had Casey on here. I was like, I'm fascinated by your brother, and he was like, yeah, he's a really interesting guy. And I was like, no, I really. And then I saw that video, and I was like, I got to get him on the podcast. And then I just started. Binging you. There's not a video I haven't watched, and they're very, what you're doing is not the prototype vlog. It's a very different form of storytelling that's so more elevated for YouTube that after my surgery, I was watching you again. I think it's when I texted, I don't know when I texted you. I think it was, I texted you about these, but every time I find something, I go, God, I wish Van was here. He could figure this out. Like this morning, this brace they gave me after my surgery is cheap and it's bullshit. And these things pinch me. And I just so badly was like, I just wish I could just send the brace to Van and just have him fix it for me. Have him wear it for a day and go, oh, here's what needs to happen.
Those things.
I just bought 3 more. I just bought 3 nicer ones and hope that one of them fits.
Yeah.
But like a little bit of an upgrade to something is such a... I love it. And I got to have you. I have a conference call starting in 7 minutes. I got to have you on the podcast.
I love how close you're cutting it.
I know. I'm like, by the way, what I'm doing right now is I want to go out and see his bike. I want to walk him out. I want to take you in. I want to introduce you to Leanne.
That's okay. I'll be back. This means I have to come back.
Yeah. I
had all these questions, like all this stuff when you're on your podcast and you're like talking to whoever and you're like, I'll tell you off the air. I have like a whole list of like, what? So blah, 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 blah. What was that? What was that?
I'll tell you.
I know you'll tell
those.
me. And
I'll tell you.
I'm a vault, but
yeah,
so.
We always bleep is
it usually him?
No, but he would love to hear his name on a podcast a lot. And the day he finds out it's him, he's going to be like, why the fuck me? Why me? And I go, I don't know. I just get a kick out of it.
That guy's a genius. Man. Yeah.
Oh, dude, this has been a pleasure. I got to have
Likewise.
you back. Keep doing what you're doing.
This is a big turning point for me.
Keep doing what you're doing. And everyone, I really tell you, if you like being a fan of stuff, like myself, you're going to be obsessed with this channel. It's a spirited man. It's Van Neistat. I love that you guys explained how to say your last name. It's nice tat. Like that's a nice tat. And I'm sure I've been saying it wrong my entire career. His brother Casey is the guy that really changed my business. The way I looked at business in and autonomy and doing your own thing, and to know that you were the one that kind of inspired him to get into what he's doing, to do what he's doing. You guys had that great show on HBO, the Neistat brothers, and now to hear about this guy Sachs, it's like
now the shoe is totally on the other foot, because Casey is like, it's almost as if he's my pro bono manager.
Oh,
he'll call me and be like, do such and such, like these little tweaks. He told me, explain the whole thing about YouTube. Like fundamentally, he knew what I didn't understand. Like I didn't know that what you're trying to do is get a lot of subscribers. I didn't know that. I thought you were just trying to get a lot of views. And he said a YouTube subscriber is worth 100 Twitter followers.
Yeah. And by the way, you've got what, 600 right now? 600,000?
405,000.
405,000. Well, you're making because you started your channel, what, like April. So you're making a huge fucking gain on that. And it's,
Thank
and
God.
I'm telling
I've
you,
got a lot of allies like you.
You're dude, anyone I can turn on to you, I do, because like I said, you're just a very unique person, and the world would benefit with more people like you. And I feel like I gained something out of watching you. And even if it's the smallest thing, like going in and organizing my garage and going like, I should take a second. By the way, there's like these little things I want you to do. Like I want you to do a Sunday meetup with your fans, Sunday project meetup.
Oh, this is another thing I was going to bug you about. I was going to be like, what should I make? Because you're not going to come up with this fucking shit every week.
Dude, I want you to get a group of guys together. I want to be a part of it. Almost like a book club, but we go somewhere and it's almost like
I wanted to do one-on-one with people like you who are like that we all know. And then like you have something broken, like the thing, I go to your house and fix it, make for my channel. And then you pass me on to the next guy. I
will make that happen.
So-and-so has a broken blah, blah, blah. And then he passes me on to the next guy.
I will make that happen. If you want to do something like that, I will find the thing. Cause it's all over my house right now where I'm looking at things going, this needs an upgrade. This needs
that's why I built that repair station in the first video.
I tell you,
I could go to people's houses and just bring all my tools, not all of them, but all the ones you need, and improvise little like, because I've been doing it since I was a little boy, and now it's gotten to the point where they have a touch to them. The repairs are almost like a little sculpture.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I wish you had almost like a shopping list on Amazon. Like, I don't know if you can do that. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Like a shopping list on Amazon where you go, these are the things I like.
I'm going to I want to do toolkits based on the project. So like the shelf toolkit, what do I need to build a shelf?
I mean, when you,
you got to go to your thing.
I got 4 minutes.
You do. You have 4 minutes.
But like when you opened up your little thing to fix things, I just go like, I changed my charging stations. I started going, and I was like, yeah, you need everything to work. You need everything to have a home, and everything needs a little place, and everything needs its little identity and to organize.
Unless you're smart. Yeah. If you're really smart, you don't need any of this shit. I'm dumb. If you're smart, you don't need to, you know where your keys are. You don't lose your keys. You don't need a key rack by your front door. You're smart.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not. And I'm not. And I find myself going like little things where I go, yeah. Like my buddy made these things called dinkum systems. They're really great. I don't think we have any here, but they're a clamp and then these beads that you can bend. Yeah. And then you can put, they've got a half inch, quarter inch screws, so you can screw things on. And I kept dinkums everywhere, and I put them in all the rooms so I can put my phone on it, so I can watch TV on my phone. I just found out I could watch YouTube.
Kind of like a Gorilla Pod.
It is identical to a Gorilla Pod, except it's just a clamp and the arm.
Okay.
We used him. He worked with me on trial. He's my touring cameraman when we do tours. But I have dinkums everywhere, and I fucking love them. I'm telling you, I got to have you back because I'm not done talking to you.
I want to come back. I loved it. I loved it. I fucking do this. This is like an indulgent thing. Like you're not even really supposed to talk like this because it's just too much talk. But I love doing it.
And everyone. It's
also therapeutic.
It's very therapeutic. Everyone go check out Spirited Man. It's on YouTube. Van Neistat. I'm telling you, you're going to binge it like I did and fall in love with the guy and then get excited when something breaks at his house and go like, ooh, I can't wait to see how he fixed this.
All right. In future episodes, ideas coming from Bert Kreischer. So
I will hit you up with my problem solves where I go, I need help.
Okay.
And we'll do it together.
Fantastic.
Done.
Fantastic.
That was awesome.